Impressed by the Cadian 555th recent victories, the Lord Solar himself, Leontus, has joined to lead the now almost regiment-sized Astra Militarum force. He has assigned them with a personal task to escort his cousin, rogue trader Veronica Bertoleus, and her husband, Bort Bort, from their estate. Grandfather Nurgle has had his eye on the two rogue traders and wants to pull them to Nurgle through possession to have them spread pestilence and plague to any new or existing planets that they plan to colonize and adventure to. Grandfather Nurgle has himself sent forward one of his most known champions for the task. That champion is none other than Typhus himself. Can the Cadian 555th escort the two Imperial nobles through hordes of Nurgle plague marines, demons, and zombies? We will see in this next battle report, brought to you by Finnigan 40K. Alright, welcome everybody to battle report number 3. The Cadian coming off of two pretty great victories. There has been a lot of battle scars placed on my units, and I have not used requisitioning points to remove them as of yet. I think if we win this one, well, no matter what, we're going to get another requisition point. I may start to peel away some of those battle scars, because with upcoming battles that I have planned, my Cadian are going to have to just get themselves straightened out. So this one here is going to be fantastic. I'm just walking around the battle. It is the Cadian 555th Almost Regiment now, led by now Lord Solar Leontus. I requisitioned him during the last game, and a Chimera tank. So within the tank, I have my Castellan, who used to be the commander of this company. He's still there. He's still a very good model. He's leading a Casterkin unit, but I have decided to put him in the Chimera to be able to get stuck in. The awesome thing about Leontus is he can actually issue 3 orders per turn. So in this case, he has 2 of the more kind of battle scarred up sections with him, which was the plan that I had from the start, to make sure that he's going to be able to buff them out. So as per the rules for Warhammer 40k, you cannot give more than 1 order to a group unless it's Khazarkin, because they're elites. So Leontus is going to be able to give 2 orders during the turn. So there's going to be one to one of the sections, and then the other to the other section. And then if there's anyone else that comes in vicinity with him that's a regimental unit, so another, if there's a Casterkin squad or another Cadian trooper section, he'll be able to use that last 3rd order to buff them out as well. I've set up my battle here. It's a lot less terrain this time, but what I'm doing here is there's actually an estate. So this is the estate of 2 rogue traders, as I mentioned in the intro, Veronica and her husband, Bort Bort. Little reference to The Simpsons there, pretty good. And this is their planetary estate. So this used to be the planetary, estate graveyard, and a whole bunch of zombies have started to pop up due to the malignifier that's kind of been planted by Nurgle. So these would have been, Veronica and Bort Bort's like family members, maybe their gardeners, their butlers, whoever it might be. And what I've done here, it's going to be a very cool addition to the battle. I've placed, I believe, 40 zombies. I can show you guys one of them. They're actually pretty awesome. So these guys I've had for a long time, and I saw them in a Games Workshop magazine back in the day, coming through a bunch of like windows with the old Pewter Typhus leading them. I do have the Pewter Typhus. He's not on this battlefield, but I use him for my 30k because the size is a little better. Those zombies are made up of the original like Warhammer Fantasy zombie pack mixed with Catachin Imperial Guard plastic models, as well as Cadian. So you'll see a few during the battle that have like, Cadian helmets on. They've got chain swords. One guy's got a scythe there. He was probably a farmer on the property or something, and just a really creepy kind of graveyard scene. I know the holidays are just around the corner, so in Canada, Christmas is coming up in less than a month. This maybe should have been more of a Halloween battle, but why not have some horror during the holidays? It works for me. So the whole mission for the Cadian here is to get Veronica, who's here with a squad of Adeptus Arbites. So they've been sent down, or maybe they're part of the planetary defense, and they are a personal bodyguard for Veronica and for her husband, Bort Bort, who are represented by 2 rogue trader models. One's from Black Fortress, the other one is just like the Imperial Inquisitorial, like henchman rogue trader models. and they have to move from their current location, which is right in front of a massive Typhus-led Tyrannid army. So there's Typhus there with his Death Shroud Terminators and a bunch of Poxwalkers and Terminators and Defilers and everything, Mephitic Blight Haulers and Plague Burst Cannons, and they have to move all the way down this roadway to the Arvis Lighter that's parked here. So this thing's not going anywhere near the Nurgle, so they're going to have to get themselves to this. There's going to be probably the easiest path, I would say, is going to be through that graveyard. So I'm going to have to look at the strategy for the Adeptus Arbites and for the 2 Rogue Traders if we're going to hazard our way through the cemetery. Because as you can see, coming in from the wings, we've got like Hellbrutes coming in, Mephitic Blight Haulers. There's a Nurgle Demon Prince, which is the old pewter model there too. Some Plague Bearers are popping in. Predator. There's Land Raiders, Defilers. I've got Fetid Bloat Drones. My Nurgle, Beast of Nurgle here with some Poxwalkers as well. So the Cadian are going to be busting ass again, just like last battle, to get down and try to get these guys out. The very cool thing here is with the Adeptus Arbite models, I'm going to be using them as like personal bodyguards for the 2. So if there's a wound that's allocated, like let's say, for instance, this Plague Burst Cannon fires a shot and it lands right inside the Arbites, I'm going to be issuing wounds to the Arbites before it goes to the Rogue Trader. And for these guys, for instance, I'm not 100% sure with the new Arbite rules, but they're like Eradicators or Extracticators or something is their title. They have a 4+ invulnerable save due to the Storm Shields, so that's going to help out a lot in getting the Rogue Traders to be able to move. These guys do not have that invulnerable, but it's Bort Bort there. It's not sort of the queen of the land, which is Veronica. So the Cadian win this battle if one of the 2 or both of the Rogue Traders get down the streets to the Arvis Lighter pad. The Nurgle and Death Guard force win if they kill all of the Arbites, and I'm going to say that they kill the model, so killing the 2 Rogue Traders, and the Rogue Traders are actually pretty good standalone models, so if it does come down to that and all the Arbites have been wiped out, they should be able to hold their own against some of the, I don't know, maybe against the Plague Marine. If they're facing Typhus or a Defiler or something alone, that might be a different story. But they're going to try to get down there, and if they are killed by any of the Nurgle models, then they have lost the battle. So if one makes it, it's a victory for Cadia. If both make it, it's a victory. If both die, it is a Nurgle victory. Also, if the Cadian, of course, kill the entire Nurgle force, that will also be a victory because there'll be no more models to attack. The other very cool thing here, so the Poxwalkers have a rule where if they kill an allied model, then a Poxwalker gets returned to the board almost like they've taken them over. I'm going to be doing that with the zombies too. So the zombies are going to have their own stats that I'm going to use, probably 2 attacks with like a 5+, toughness 4. I want them to be a little bit tougher because, you know, only headshots can take zombies out. So these zombies, if they kill a allied model in hand-to-hand, so that could be an Arbite, it could be a Rogue Trader, it could be a Cadian, it could be Leontus himself, there's going to be an additional zombie added to the board. So it's not like they're getting one back, there's going to be an addition to the board. So if by some chance like 10 zombies kill 10 allies, you're going to now have 20 zombies. If they kill another 10, it's going to be 30 zombies. And I have like 80 of these guys that I created back in the day. So this field could actually become just a massive field of zombies, and that'll also help the Nurgle in winning that. So as I've done with last battles, if there is a unit killed by the Arbites or by the Rogue Traders, that is not going to count towards victory points and experience. And that goes also for the zombies. If they kill people, it's not really a crusade for Nurgle. But yeah, if the Arbites or the Rogue Traders kill any of the enemy units, it's not going to count. And of course, the same rules will apply as past battles. If the Cadians start to kill units, it's going to add up for experience and things like that. So we're going to get into this. It's a little bit of a lesser terrain heavy field, which I like. It's going to be a lot easier to move tanks around, to move some of my bigger models like the Defiler. As always, I'm going to be playing super hard for the Death Guard too. So their toughness, probably one of the toughest armies in all of 40K. And they also have some incredible special abilities like Nurgle's Gift. So that's going to be every few turns, There's pretty much a circle that's, you know, invisible around every single Plague Marine model. The demons do not have it, but Nurgle's gift is for Poxwalkers, it's for the drones, it's for the Defiler, it's for the Marines, it's for the Terminators, it's for Typhus. And as the game progresses, that ring of pestilence and plague gets bigger. And as it gets bigger, it weakens any enemy models that are trying to sometimes shoot them or do hand-to-hand combat against them, because you have to picture, like, these things have been rotting for like 10,000 years and they're all full of like partial demons and stuff. So there's flies all around them. So if you were trying to fight and you're a human, you know, pretty much with no enhancements, so like one of these guys here, one of my just Cadian section guys, you're going to be fighting through like just disgusting stink and flies, and it's a massive, just huge thing for the Nurgle to be able to have that. One thing about the Nurgle, and what I'm hoping to use against them, is they are a slow army. So they have an incredible toughness. They have the Nurgle's gift, which almost blinds people who are fighting them, but they're very slow. So if I can keep them at bay and keep shooting at them, las guns versus, you know, Plague Terminators, not a good day, but we'll see how that goes. But if I can keep them at bay, get my Rogaldorns blasting, get my Hellhounds going, get my Sentinels to finally do something, like my, you know, my heavy plasma cannon here that hasn't done anything in any of the games so far, if it can finally start to move and groove this game, it would be fantastic. So we're going to see how it goes. There's about 500 point difference between my Cadian force right now and the Nurgle, and that is minus the zombies. I did not count them as points, and also minus the Arbites and the Rogue Traders. So my Cadian army, I can bring up the sheet here in just a sec and kind of cover that really quickly. Their point value, and then the Nurgle, I gave them an additional 500 points. So when it comes to Nurgle, that's a lot of points. So these guys are coming in around 2,500, I believe, and then my Cadian from last battle, I believe, are just under 2,000. But I'll bring up the card here. Anyone who has just started watching, I'll cover just my forces really, really quickly and show you guys what I requisitioned last time and where my force started. And then you can also refer to the previous videos to see how this has moved forward, because that is the amazing thing about Warhammer 40K Crusade. It's almost like playing a video game, and you get to level up your guys and give them buffs. I should also mention my Hellhound Imp, who has been an all-star since the beginning of the campaign, did get the Street Fighter's skill last time from its experience. So that is a +1 to weapon skill, which is going to help immensely when they're shooting through fogs of flies and pestilence and stink and rot. The Meltas, I'm hoping, are going to do very, very well in this, and there's some of the stronger weapons that can actually penetrate. Very worried about the Nurgle Land Raider. I'll show you guys this model. Actually, it's absolutely sick. So I love to do heavy conversions. And what I did here, it doesn't have much of a weapon system on it, but I put like a tree of Nurgle on it. I also actually have my wound markers. That was just the only ones available at the time. I got those on Etsy. I forget the shop, but they're absolutely fantastic. And you can see that this Land Raider has just been completely like, we've got Nurglings on the top of it jumping all over each other, and there's a bunch of like ooze and stuff coming out of tanks from the side. That's from like the Nachmund pieces in Necromunda. So there's a top view of it. It's got the double heavy bolters, no real other weapons, but this thing is a transport carrier. It's got an insane toughness, and it's been super modified, so that's really cool. My other one over here, this was just a regular Chaos Predator that I souped up as well. You can hear Homer, he's having some drinks in the background. Hey, Hoju. The kids can call him Hoju in that. There he is. This thing has been heavily customized too. So I have some Nurglings riding on this one. Also have some tentacles popping out. I have a Rhino as well that's Nurgle that has a Greater Demon of Nurgle head coming out of it. I probably showed that in my very first video, maybe, if you guys want to see a bit of my Death Guard collection. I love these guys in 30k too. So Death Guard is usually, I think they're my largest 30k enemy force that I have. My allied force is Imperial Fist on that side, but I love these Death Guard models, and you can use a lot of them still if you want to have a heavily converted 30k army, because they still have like the old Cataphracti armor on, which is 30k, not the new Terminator stuff. So very, very cool army. I love to soup them up. I love to make them customizable. We're going to see how it goes. It's going to be tough because I do like my Death Guard, but I'm still rooting for my Cadian big time, and I'm hoping that they can pull off another victory, keep that streak going. And I think there's going to be probably 3 or 4 more battles after this one, and that'll round off the Crusade. But still tons to come, and there's still this battle, so I'm so excited to get it on for you guys. I've also decided to, since the last videos were running like crazy long, like one was almost 3 hours, I'm going to try to mash the move and shoot phases together. And then after that, I'll do any hand-to-hand if it exists on the board. But I'm hoping that that's going to speed stuff up, and I just hope that I can remember everything that's happened. There isn't a bunch of like Gene Stealer cultists hiding in, you know, buildings for guerrilla attacks in this one. Everyone's pretty much out in the open, so I'm hoping I can track. So what I'll do is it's going to be Cadian first, because they're coming in to, you know, bust their ass down to get the rogue traders out. Then I'm going to move the rogue traders and their Arbites, and then I'm going to move over to the Plague Marines. Again, really hoping I can get some distance quick, and that I can hold off the incoming units of Nurgle out in the wings here that are coming in from the side. So yeah, it's going to be Cadian, Arbites with the rogue traders, then the Death Guard, and we are going to rock and roll. If I've forgotten anything, I'll put it on in the next video, and I'm going to show you guys my card really quickly and just how this force has come together. Be right back. I got a new camera too, which is pretty awesome. I got Canon G70, so I've been using an XA60 with a condenser mic on it. I saw a G70 for a crazy deal on Black Friday, so I jumped all over it. I have a Rode mic on here too, which seems to possibly be giving even better audio than my condenser, so I'm super stoked to see how this looks during editing. But anyways, so onto my force card. So this is the 555th Cadian Charlie Company. It's up on the screen right now. So this force started at just under 1,000 points. So it was at 995 for the supply used. You can see that that has now gone up to 1,790 with a supply limit of 800. So I still have 10 points remaining. And if I do decide to use a requisition point, which I may or may not, that's going to be an additional 200 supply that will bring me up to a 2,000 point limit. With future battles, and possibly for this one, because the Nurgle have the Plague Burst Crawler, which is a really good artillery piece, I think I maybe should have brought in a field ordnance battery. And I said in my last video, I'm ex-Canadian Forces, so I was a gunner back in the day. Didn't go very far. I failed off one of my courses, but it was still an awesome experience to be on the guns. So for St. Barbara's Day, which is coming up on the 4th of December, she's the patron saint of artillery and engineers and pyrotechnics and ammunition and all that stuff. I'm probably going to requisition those. I was thinking I might use the requisition point to remove some battle scars, but to hell with it. We're going to keep plowing through. That also means, though, that if like 2 section, I believe, is Sergeant, or no, 1 section is Sergeant Sarank, they already have 2 battle scars. If they get a 3rd, they are going to be hobbling along, and mattering on what kind of battle scenarios we're looking at in the future might be tricky. Anyways, so this is just a really quick list. I'm going to keep it up here for just a few seconds so you can see. So my original force started as Castellan Cage, the Commissar, Cadian Command Squad, the Khazarkan Shark Garzone, Khazarkan Tigers, 1 through 4 section, Sentinel Alpha, Sentinel Bravo, Hellhound Cerberus, Hellhound Imp. We had the Regimental Preacher. So that was the very first force at that 995. I then requisitioned with all the points that I had remaining. So I removed a few battle scars, and then I requisitioned an Ogren squad. I'm glad I did, because there is going to be some very tough hand-to-hand combat here. So they are in there. They did take a battle scar last game, but they held on pretty well, and they helped the Cadian in taking that victory, being one of the units that was around the downed Valkyrie. I requisitioned, and these 2 are absolutely incredible. The Rogel Dorn battle tank. So I have one that's called Fury that has the oppressor cannon on it, Fury from the movie. And then Rogel Dorn battle tank with the twin battle cannons that I call Double Impact, which is, you know, again, a movie and a game. So definitely bringing those in. And the last round out for that second requisitioning was the Primaris Psyker. For this one, I got the additional 200 requisition, or 200 supply points that I used with my requisition point. So I pulled in a Chimera tank, which is a APC armored personnel carrier. There's currently Khazarkan in there with the Castellan, but it's going to be a great little vehicle if I need to get the Arbites in there with the with one of the 2 or both, because it does have a 12 transport max. So I could put in 10 Arbites with the 2 rogue traders, or 10 Arbites with one of them, or a mix of that with Cadian or something. So we have the Chimera for a little bit quicker, more tough movement on the battlefield. which is really good because the Cadian, as we've seen, have been shredded by a lot, and Nurgle's going to be no different. They're very, very strong, high toughness, good weapons. They are Space Marines that have, fallen to the Dark God that is Nurgle, and Typhus is one of their most famous champions. I'd say maybe even more so than Mortarion, who's their Primarch. Typhus is the one that got all that going and had Nurgle bless them with the incredibly devastating gifts that they now have, but that's him. And then rounding it all off, last but not least, is Lord Solar Leontus. This guy, his lore, and I promised I wouldn't be covering this too much, but he's a sick character. So this guy's he's a human, but he's like over 100 years old. It's because he comes from a very noble, like high-ranking family within the Imperium. So he has had money his entire life. He's gone to the best schools. He's the best tactician in the entire Imperium. And Lord Solar Leontus, that title, Lord Solar Macarius, was during, previous battles with the, like way back in even, I don't think it was before 30K, but in around 30K. So you had Lord Solar Macarius, and now who has taken on the reins as the supreme commander of the Astra Militarum is Lord Solar Leontus. So he's 100 years old. He's got a ton of like rejuvenants that have gone into him. He's still very well trained and really good in hand-to-hand combat. So he's on his horse Constantine. I'm going to actually cut to him right now, so while I'm talking, you guys can see what I'm doing. I tried to paint him well. He's a tough model compared to some of the other Astra Militarum, but there he is there. He stands on top of a downed Titan, which has the Chaos, like Black Legion markings on it. He, again, is about 100 years old, rejuvenants though, so he's still going. And I kind of picture him like it's weird and gross, but in the new RoboCop movie when they like pop, I forget the actor's name, but his like entire suit comes off, his hand's not real, and he's just like a pair of lungs, an esophagus, a head, and a brain. That's kind of how I see him. Like, I think he has a whole bunch of like pipes and stuff underneath that chest plate. Like his legs might not be his anymore, his arms might not be his, so he's still human. But if you look at Constantine, his horse, really closely, Constantine has some like pieces of horse left on him, but his legs are metal. His eyes are all bionic, so you can see a little bit closer here. So I have a feeling that Leontus, like to be able to keep leading the Astra Militarum in defense of the Imperium, I don't think he's too human anymore. He's almost like a cyborg, but that's not confirmed. That's just what I think, and from what I've read, just that he's had so many rejuvenant trainings and that his chest plate might be full of a bunch of stuff like that. So a little creepy, but that's the way I picture him. Back to my card now. So Leontus came in to round off the almost 1,800 points. And Leontus, in my past Crusade, so I did a Crusade with these guys previous, had a very different line out to begin with. I brought him in probably around the same time. It was like maybe the second or third battle, maybe fourth. But he is incredible in hand-to-hand combat. He took on a unit of Chosen, which is like champions of the Black Legion, so like Chaos Undivided. They can be with any of those regiments, or any of those chapters, but he took them on and he beat them single-handedly. So with Constantine's help, he's got a really good sword and he's got a good gun. I could see him going toe-to-toe with Typhus. We'll see how that goes if that happens in this battle. But having him in there with the Ogrins is going to be a very, very important punch to hand-to-hand combat. He's also fast on the horse, and again, his pistol and his sword are quite good. So he was a very good addition. And I think going forward for the rest of the campaign, the ability to buff out 3 sections at once, like 3 units, is also incredible. So I think he's going to be a huge part. The other thing with that, though, I don't want to get too crazy with him and get him a whole bunch of battle scars and get him beat up, like throwing him right in. So I'm going to have to really play him well. But that is Lord Solar Leontus, and he has been added to this Crusade. So I'm going to get to the game now. I'm going to roll here and there in my dice tray as I have in the past. I switched back to my Akaso camera for that because the Vivitar wasn't great. The sound was kind of terrible, and the picture was okay, but the sound wasn't great. So I'm going to go back to my Akaso for that. And we are going to see how the Cadian 555th Almost Regiment, still company, does against Typhus and a very large Plague Marine Nurgle and Zombie Army. So here we go. Finnigan 40K. Good luck, Cadian. Bye for now. Okay, so I'm back after the movement phase. It's going to be tough to do movement and shoot, but as the numbers dwindle on both sides, I think it'll become easier. So I'll just recap the move phase really quickly. The Chimera came up here. It still has the Castellan and the Khazarkin Sharkar's Own in the back. If this thing does go up, it might engulf them, but we'll see. The Ogrins with the Commissar have kind of set up a roadblock here against the Poxwalkers and the Beast of Nurgle. Over here, Leontus moved up. He's staring down some of those zombies, as are the two sections he was leading. The crippling damage that I gave these two, like I thought it would be kind of an okay battle scar to give. It's actually really hindering what I can do. So Leontus was able to give those orders. I had to use two just to get them to move to their normal speed. So I still want to bring in those, field ordnance batteries at the end of this, and maybe another Khazarkin squad with 200 requisitioning points in the 10 that exist. But I might have to use those to start to move these battle scars away, because it's going to really slow my force down. The Rogaldorn and the Hellhound are taking up the rear. Again, they can't really move because the road is blocked by slower, Cadian models, but they're going to be getting into the fight as soon as they can. I think this battle is going to move in general faster than the others because there is just more open space and things. The Preacher with a shotgun here, Preacher Uriah Jacobus, has gone right into the cemetery, as a Preacher would, yelling his litanies and his praise the Emperor with his incense and old school shotgun. He's bringing in Sergeant Dakota's 2 section, who is the last remaining Cadian section that does not have a battle scar. So I'm hoping these guys can get in there. They've stuck in since the very start when they were fighting those Tyranid on the roadway, and there was only like 2 or 3 left. I'm hoping that this section in here is going to be able to plow through some of these zombies and open up a faster path for the rogue traders and the Arbites. My Sentinels, I moved back a wee bit to get into better cover. I'm really hoping I can roll well with them this game. One is staring down the zombies, and the other has the Hellbrute and the Poxwalkers in its sight. The command squad here gave the move order as well to just get back to normal inches ability to move. So these guys move 6 inches, and they're kind of squaring off against those Poxwalkers as well. My other Khazarkin unit here with the Primaris Psyker are staring down the Poxwalkers too, and the Myphitic Blighthaulers are very close as well. These things have very high toughness and good weapons. I hope those Khazarkin don't get shredded, but that is why I brought the Rogaldorn in for backup. So this thing is probably going to start pounding away at those Myphitic Blighthaulers to hopefully bring them down with all of its weapons. Here is Veronica, the rogue trader. They moved back 6 inches from their original spot beside the sort of disgusting fountain with all the putrid water in it. They still have, I calculated the inches perfectly, so if they are able to move the full 6 inches, they should be able to get there by the end of the last turn. So that Arvis Lighter and the landing pad is 36 inches away. The Nurgle are yet to move, so their main force is back here ready to spring. The other Arbite section with Bort Bort, the husband of Veronica, has moved as well. There are some zombies still coming around, so they've kind of made a box around him also. And staring down them is a couple of Blight drones, the Terminators, the Defiler, Plague Marines, and the Chimera has moved up to hopefully use that multi-laser, its heavy flamer, and the bank of las guns to help out. So I'm going to move to the shooting phase. I am going to roll off camera. We're going to shoot with all my Cadian. I'll come back, show you what happened there, and I'm hoping to be able to mash those 2 turns, like those 2 phases together, going forward as more models go down, so we can make this battle a little bit quicker. I just got to say, I'm really liking this Canon G70. Without the handle on there, it's a lot lighter and easier to maneuver, so I'm gonna, it's not like I was getting exhausted, but with the handle it was kind of bumping over terrain and stuff in my past battles, and it's hopefully not going to happen this time because it's just a lesser camera. It's smaller and just more compact. Anyways, so Uriah Jacobus, I'm going to start here with Sergeant Dakota's 2 section. 2 section are the only section that don't have any battle scars, so this is a good group to put in here. They were able to wipe out, I believe it was 6 of the zombies, so that's great. They've cleared a bit of a path, and they're going to keep pushing through unless these zombies take them out and open up a bit of a path for the Adeptus Arbites and the Rogue Traders to make it through the middle if they need to. So that was really good. Not enough to get a unit point, but who did pick up the unit kill was over here. Sergeant Sarank's unit was able to finish off 5, so that was enough. I'm kind of like, I have the zombies spread out, but I'm still saying that if you kill 10 of them, that's a unit, just for the experience and points. Sergeant Sarank needed that. It's his first unit kill throughout the entire campaign, and these guys have battle scars up the yin yang, so they're fatigued. They have crippling damage, so they're not doing great. And they had the move command just to get them up to the regular 6-inch speed, so that was pretty good for them. They got a kill. We move over to Sergeant Apone, our best buddy from Aliens, and they were able to take out a couple of Poxwalkers. The Ogryn were also able to take out a Poxwalker. The Commissar did 2. And then the Hellhound was able to finish off 1. Not great rolls for the Hellhound. I'm hoping that they're going to keep pulling their weight. My double impact Rogaldorn battle tank didn't fire at anything. Yeah, so I could still actually shoot for him. I totally forgot. Anyways, we'll keep moving here. So Leontus blasted into the zombies and actually did not strip any wounds. So not a great round for him. And my Chimera was able to shoot into the fetid bloat drones and actually get a wound, or a couple of wounds, off of the green one on the left here. So it's down to 8 wounds from 10. Which is great considering that the multi-laser is not a crazy strong weapon, but it does have quite a few shots, so that was awesome. The Arbites here with Bort Bort, the rogue trader, were able to take a wound off of the plague bearers here. Still a lot of units in here with very high toughness, so it's really good that we're picking away at some of the lighter ones, but when we get into the closer combat with Nurgle, it's going to be bad news. Over on this side, the Khazarkin Tigers were able to finish off all but 1 Poxwalker with the help of the Primaris Psyker. And then actually it was Sergeant Voof who definitely needs it as well. They haven't really done much since the beginning of the campaign. They got the final kill on the Poxwalker and got the experience point. The Cadian command squad behind could not open fire because they would have been shooting Voof in his section in the back of the head, so they did not do that. My grenade launcher here on the Sentinel did kill 1 zombie, so that was awesome. My Hellhound here did not do anything this round. It did not roll high enough to do anything. And actually, my Sentinel, I'm hoping it's kind of the turn for this one. He was able to take a couple wounds off of the Hellbrute. The Rogaldorn battle tank here was able to strip a wound off of one of the Myphitic Blight Haulers. These things are small, but they're super powerful, and they're actually pretty good little machines for Nurgle. The other Arbite squad with Veronica, the rogue trader, blasted into the Plague Marines and was able to take a wound away from them too. So not a bad round. We finished off some lighter models, some zombies, which is what I was expecting. So these Cadian are going to start moving in there. I might try to use the tanks a bit so I don't get too many battle scars from that. I'm going to move over to the Nurgle here soon, but I'm going to be shooting with my double impact double battle cannon tank here, the Rogaldorn, because I didn't do that. I also have to see if anything's in range, so I'll do that really quick and I'll come right back and show you guys the outcome of that. I am so happy that I checked just to make sure, so I forgot this one. Apologies for that, guys. Lots of models to shoot with. I thought this thing was out of range, that's why I didn't go with it, but actually the twin battle cannons on the top, the double impact, plus my heavy stubbers could actually fire. So the heavy stubbers did not do anything, but the double battle cannon actually killed 2 Blightlord Terminators. So that is incredible. I was not expecting that. These are very strong models, but I got some sweet rolls, and it does 3 damage. So they didn't save with their invulnerable. It actually only bumped it up to a 3+, but they rolled a 2 and a 1 to save. So that did 3 damage to each of them, which was fantastic off of those 2 attacks. Or 3 attacks that came through. Also, I don't know if I called these guys Blightlord Terminators earlier by accident, but they are Death Shroud Terminators. They're also from 30K. Well, all of these guys are, because they used to be Death Guard Marines from the Death Guard chapter, but they are kind of like bodyguard units for Typhus or Mortarion, and they have Man Reaper massive scythes, but I may have called them Blightlord Terminators earlier. I apologize, but they're Death Shroud, and then these guys are Blightlord. So that was a really good round, actually, considering the Nurgle are going to move now. They're very slow, but if they get a roll going, it's not going to be good, especially if they get into hand-to-hand combat with any of my human units, because as per that Nurgle's gift, they have a 1-inch kind of diameter circumference around them right now that impedes a whole bunch of stuff. So it could be weapon skill, it could be ballistic skill. We'll have to check and see. And I'm going to move to their movement phase right now. So that is the end of the allied Cadian turn. We have the Arbites and the Rogue Traders that have moved back a bit. They've got a pretty good defensive structure going right now. One of them has to make it to that Arvis Lighter by the 6th turn. If they do not, we lose. If all of my allied forces are dead, we lose. And the only way to win is to get one of them to the Arvis Lighter or kill the entire Death Guard Nurgle Army, which I don't think is possible, but you never know. We'll see. So here we go into the Nurgle Death Guard movement for their turn 1. All right, so doing a quick recap on the Death Guard Nurgle movement. The wave of pestilence has moved forward. The only saving grace that I have is that these models move extremely slow, so a lot of them are moving 4 or 5 inches if they're individual. The vehicles do move a bit faster. So the Defiler came up, it's doing kind of a flank over on this side. The Plague Marines have come in behind the Fetid Bloat drones. This Chimera is in a lot of trouble. It's got 2 Fetid Bloat drones around it. There's also the Death Guard Predator there that's going to be shooting soon. The remaining Terminators have moved up. We've got some Poxwalkers, that's a full unit of them. Typhus and his Death Shroud Terminators have moved up. The Plague Bearers cleared a path for the Contagion Land Raider. They've all got the Nurgle gift too, except the demons, so there is kind of like an aura around each of these. Demon Prince moved up too. My Arbite squad that's leading Veronica, the Rogue Trader, is in hand-to-hand now with some zombies that came out of the graveyard. There are 3 Myphitic Blight Haulers, as well as the Hell Brute that are all aiming at my Rogel Dorn, so this is not good. They are trying to take out the toughest targets first. These are still Adeptus Astartes and smart Nurgle demons, so they know what to do. So my Hellhounds luckily are there to back up, so I'm hoping if anything does happen to the Rogel Dorns, they'll be able to help. Over here as well, we have that remaining Poxwalker group that is fighting the Ogrins, and with their ability, they have the Curse of the Walking Pox, so if they do take down an Ogrin, I'm actually going to bring in one of the bigger models that's Nurgle, so that'll be kind of cool, because that is their rule. And also, because of Nurgle Gift, that's going to weaken the Ogrins that are fighting, so their toughness is going to be lower. I'm hoping those Ogrins will be able to smash those Poxwalkers apart, but we'll see, because they still have a toughness of 4. So we're going to move into the shoot phase now for Nurgle. I'm going to do all of the Nurgle shoot phase, and then I'll do all of the hand-to-hand combat and come back and show you guys how that went, just to speed this up. Yeah, so I'll be right back. Alright, so that's the end of the Death Guard Nurgle turn 1. I did the shoot and the hand-to-hand, so I'll sum up as I go across the board here with both of those phases. The zombies kind of shuffled around all over the board. Some of them got into hand-to-hand combat here with the Arbites. One Arbite was killed, it turned into a zombie, and then the remaining Arbites and Bort Bort, the Rogue Trader, was able to fend them off. In here with the shooting, my Chimera is in a really bad spot. It started with 11 wounds, it's down to 8. So it took shots from the Predator, from the Defiler's autocannon, Reaper autocannon, because that's what was in line of sight, as well as the 2 Fetid Bloat drones. So if I can't get that thing out of here this turn, I'm definitely going to be disembarking my Khazarkin during the movement phase to open this up, and I'm hoping that I can get the Rogue Trader in there. I just don't want this to turn into a death box, so I'm going to have to get some support in there before I do it. Maybe have Leontus go into combat with the Fetid Bloat drone. We'll have to see. On this front here, there was a unit of Poxwalkers. The Ogrin came in and completely just messed them up. It was great, so they're finished. Over here, we had more movement. And in here, there was another zombie horde that came out. They killed one of the Adeptus Arbites. It turned into a zombie, and the Arbites with Rogue Trader Veronica were able to fight them off. So they're kind of stuck in the middle of a lot of combat. I have to break through to get to them. That's going to be tricky. My Land Raider, that's all mutated and everything, took tons of shots over here with its heavy bolters at the Rogel Dorn. Battle Tank, the Myphitic Blight Haulers shot at it, as did the Hellbrute, and it lost a lot of wounds. So these things start with 18 wounds, and it is currently down to, let me just pull a marker, down to 11. So it lost 7 wounds during that turn, which is pretty crazy for a tank that has that kind of toughness. These Myphitic Blight Haulers are very, very good little vehicles for Nurgle. So they have an extremely high toughness, multi-melta weapons. They have crack missile launchers if you want. And then also they have a pretty good movement of 12 inches compared to a lot of the Solar Nurgle. So these guys are really good for pinning and actually doing some damage because they're the ones that strip the most wounds off of that Rogel Dorn. So this is going to move back over to my Cadian for their movement phase in turn 2. I'm going to have to get some strategy going here to make sure I have the right units allocated to the right areas to do the most damage I can and to open up the pathways to get these rogue traders back to the Arvis Lighter. We still have a few turns to do that, but if I start losing things like the Chimera, which is a bit of a faster vehicle, that's not good. And then also if I start losing my defensive and offensive guns and the Rogel Dorn and the Hellhounds and things like that, as well as my Sentinels, it's going to be pretty rough. So I'm going to do my movement phase. I think it's still too busy right now in the battle to do movement, shooting, and hand-to-hand all in one take. So I'll move, I'll show you guys what's happened, and then we're going to get into the shooting for the Cadian. Hopefully they can start peeling those numbers back from the Death Guard Nurgle, and we will see what happens with hand-to-hand. I don't want to fight these guys in hand-to-hand, so I'm probably going to be trying to stay away from that as best I can, but the zombies like to get into it, so we'll see what happens. Alrighty, go Cadian. Cadian movement phase turn 2 is complete. I'll start at the back and kind of move up the sides. So I did not move Preacher Uriah Jacobus or Sergeant Dakota's 2 section. They are going to continue to mow down these zombies, hopefully get another, maybe some experience from that, and then clear out in the next turn, hopefully the remaining. So that's going to open up the center of the field to allow what's probably going to be Rogue Trader Veronica to get through because she's jammed right now. The Sentinel moved up to also put some fire down on those zombies. The Rogel Dorn is actually going to be firing further at the Land Raider that's back there. I can use my Hellhound to start blasting away at those Myphitic Blight Haulers. And then I have the Hell Brutes completely surrounded by a section, the command squad, as well as my Kazarkin. The move command was done to get these guys up here with that crippling damage, so that's really starting to affect me, those battle scars. I would have rather done a take aim or something that would have helped with the shoot strength or the hit rolls, but instead I'll do that. And also that thing has Nurgle's gift, so this is the second turn. It's still only 1 inch away, so it looks like they're free of its sort of contagion circle, but by next turn it's going to be 3 inches, so they'll be in that if something like this happens again. The Adeptus Arbites and Veronica are stuck right in the middle here, kind of staring down the Demon Prince. They couldn't move anywhere. Hoping that if I can clear out the middle, they can kind of sneak through into the cemetery and go around, because if they were trying to go through right now, they'd be in hand-to-hand with the Myphitic Blight Hauler, which is not something I want to do. Over on this side, my Kazarkin Sharkgars as well as Castellan Cage disembarked from the Chimera, which was a pretty good call. Thing is, this take game is actually for them to help out with some shooting against the Terminators and the Poxwalkers, if that's what they decide to do. I have placed Rogue Trader Bort Bort as well as his Adeptus Arbite section, so there's 2, 4, 6, 8 of them remaining. 2 were killed. They're inside that Chimera. So if that thing does go down next turn and it has an explosion and kills everyone inside, that's going to be one of my Rogue Traders gone. So might pay off, might not. We're going to have to see. I'm hoping that Chimera can hold off for another turn with its toughness and get this thing moving, because it's got a pretty good movement. To hold up one of the Blight Haulers so it can't, or the Fetid Bloat Drone, so it can't fire on the Chimera. The hero that he is, Lord Solar Leontus, has gone straight into hand-to-hand combat with it, and we are going to see if what I mentioned at the beginning of the battle still rings true, if his hand-to-hand combat is still as proficient as it was during my last Crusade during 9th edition. We're going to see. It's going to be a good test. The Nurgle, or Beast of Nurgle, here has been completely surrounded, so there is a 2 sections of Cadian, the Ogren as well as the Commissar, that are all around that. I'm going to try to kill that thing next turn, but it also has a very high toughness. Luckily it does not have Nurgle's gift, so it doesn't have any kind of ring around it for contagion to affect like weapon skill, ballistic skill, anything like that. My Rogel Dorn moved up here as well with the twin battle cannons, and it's going to start to fire onto the Predator in hopes that it'll weaken that so this Chimera can make a cut. And then down here I move my Hellhound just past the Beast of Nurgle, and it is staring down the Defiler to also pick some wounds off of that, so this thing cannot fire at the Chimera either. So as long as I'm kind of taking on bolt guns and plasma guns, I think that the Chimera is going to be okay. But if I start taking on like double las cannons, the Defiler cannon that's on there, and other bigger weapons like from the Terminators, it's going to be a problem. So we will see how that goes. I'm going to move into shoot now, and also hand-to-hand, because there's a few of those on the board. So I'm going to sum all that up in my next take there on the video and show you guys how this all shook out. Really hoping that we take care of some of these Death Guard Nurgle models, and that the Cadian can kind of get a leg up and start to move these rogue traders off the board, because right now these guys are absolutely stuck. So we'll see how it goes. That finishes up Cadian turn 2. The shooting in hand-to-hand just concluded. All of the sections and command squad around the Hellbrute went into it with everything it had. The Hellbrute still has 1 wound left. It's got double las cannons, so that's not good, but it's hopefully going to be out next turn if we can get it done. My original plan with my Oppressor Rogel Dorn Battle Tank Fury was to try to pick away at the Land Raider. Instead, I started to turn on the Myphitic Blight Haulers because they're way too close to the Rogue Trader. I also had the plan to use my Hellhound against the Hellbrute, but I also turned it on the Myphitic Bloat Drones, and my Sentinel with the missile grenade launcher was supposed to take on the zombies in the center of the battlefield, but I also turned it on the Myphitic Blight Haulers. There was a couple of wounds, I believe, that were lost. I'm just trying to recap everything if I remember correctly. 1 or 2 wounds was taken off, so these things, again, they're sticking in. This is going to be kind of my pain in the butt, I think, for this battle, because these things now get to move and shoot, and last time they peeled a lot of wounds off of the Rogel Dorn battle tank. Over on this side, nothing really occurred. It was all Nurgle, and they're not moving until next turn. My Chimera, as well as my Khazarkin Sharkar's Own and the Castellan Cage, all put their weapons on the Blightlord Terminators and finished 2 of them off, and there is 1 left, the Sergeant or Champion, with 1 wound left. So I'm hoping that one of those units is going to kill him next turn and get some experience. My Predator was fired at from my other Rogel Dorn, the Double Impact, and it did take a couple of wounds off. It's still in the fight though, for sure. It took 3 off, so it went from 11 to 8. And my Chimera again was putting everything it had against those Terminators. So right now inside there, as per our last move, we have Bort Bort, the Rogue Trader, and his bodyguard. And as this goes back to Death Guard, there's going to be a lot of them on that tank during this turn, is my guess. And a lot of weapons firing on it too, so I really hope that it can survive and get out of there, because it is a pretty fast tank as long as it's got enough wounds. The Defiler was also wounded. It lost a couple of wounds to my Hellhound. I rolled actually quite well for my Hellhound Imp. This thing again was it got the Street Fighter's experience battle trait, because it was marked for glory last fight, so this thing is still doing what it's always done, which is fantastic. Another great stand here. So I had 2 sections of Cadian shock troops, as well as my Ogren and Commissar, unload on the Beast of Nurgle. This thing also has an extremely high toughness, so it was only my higher strength weapons, my Meltagun, plasma guns, that actually did any damage, but it's down to 2 wounds, and I'm hoping we can clear that off the board this time too. Zombies are closing in on the Preacher and on 2 section with Sergeant Dakota. They are most likely going to be in hand-to-hand combat this next phase, because the zombies are hungry. I'm playing that way too down here, so it's not like I'm trying to be strategic, because, you know, all these guys could jump in, but zombies want to eat brains, and they're going in to attack those Khazarkins. So that's going to be the next move there. Not that, you know, they couldn't be attacking the tank or something like that, but that's the way that I want to run those zombies. So they're going to be going right into it. Over here again, I was really hoping, just to finish up, that this thing would turn itself around, my Sentinel with plasma cannon, and it once again jammed or did not fire, so there was nothing from this thing, and it's got one hell of a weapon to try to fight against a Hellbrute, and nothing came of it. So I might just supercharge that next time. If it gets exploded, it gets exploded. It's as simple as that. I don't know, I'm tired of that thing. It hasn't done anything throughout the entire Crusade so far. Maybe it'll turn though. Maybe in the rest of this battle it'll do something, but we'll see. So now I'm going to move over to the Death Guard and the Plague Marines, and we are going to see their movement, and then I'll come back really quick, show them where they moved, who's in hand-to-hand most likely, and then we're going to start the shooting for them. And I really hope that there'll still be some strong models sitting on the board at the end to be able to clear the path to get these rogue traders to the Arvis Lighter and get a victory for the Cadian. All right, so here's a recap of the Death Guard Nurgle movement for their turn 2. The Beast of Nurgle has gone into hand-to-hand combat with that section. They don't have any orders because Leontus is too far away, so they're going to have to face this thing by themselves. That also means that no one next turn, if they're still locked in, or if they should be able to shoot it, but we'll see what happens. The fetid bloat drone kind of floated around and came in behind the Chimera. Plague Marines have moved in there too. The Defiler is out of range for hand-to-hand, thank goodness, because this thing, I was looking at its stats, the Defiler claws are nuts. So I think my Hellhound's going to be happier facing it in long range for now, and I'm going to have to keep that in mind so it doesn't get any closer, because it'll tear that tank apart. Big like piston-driven claws on it. The one remaining Blight Lord Terminator has gone straight into hand-to-hand combat with Castle and Cage. The order that he had there was take aim to help them with their shooting, but not fix bayonets, which would have helped them in hand-to-hand. So that is what happens during the command phase and the strategy I gave them. There's also zombies that have come out of the graveyard by the Malignifier and gone into hand-to-hand combat with Kasserkin's Sharkar's Own. The Poxwalkers kind of did a little shift there and came out to the side. My Predator is behind cover here, and it's going to start putting rounds on the Chimera that has Bort Bort, the rogue trader, and his bodyguard in there. Typhus, very slow moving with his Death Shroud, but if he gets into hand-to-hand, it's lights out for whoever he's going to fight. And Leontus is on the other side of the board, which might be the only other guy that could take him on, but they are slowly shifting across and trying to chase after the other rogue trader. My Plague Marines here have also come out, also quite slow, 5-inch movement with the Plague Bearers, and then my Plague Burst Crawler has come out from behind the building, and it is now open to be able to fire. It is an indirect fire weapon, but it makes it harder to shoot, so now that it's out in the open, it can fire at pretty much anything it wants within range. The Demon Prince has come into hand-to-hand combat with the Adeptus Arbites. These guys do have a 4+ invulnerable save, so I'm hoping that they're going to be able to fend off some attacks from him, but it is a very strong model for hand-to-hand, so we'll see. The Land Raider also came down the street, bit of a space opened up for it so it can get into better range as well. The Mythic Blight Haulers have made a wall, and they have their sights on the Rogel Dorn. They're trying to take that out. And the Hellbrute has moved into hand-to-hand combat with the Cadian Command Squad with my Lieutenant or Captain, whoever's in there. And again, that was a move order, so they do not have fixed bayonets on. So we're going to see that thing as a very, very strong attack with its fist. So that might be the end of that command squad. And that's going to be another battle scar for them because they currently have crippling damage. So I'm going to have to look and see what I want to give them next. And then over here... brains. The zombies have moved in. Fucking Preacher with the shotgun here is gonna put his shotgun up to their head and try to finish them off in hand-to-hand combat. And we got Sergeant Dakota, who's the only non-battle scarred section left of the entire Cadian 4 sections that are in here. So I'm gonna see if we can battle off those zombies. But as per the rules, if the zombies kill a Cadian, the Cadian comes back as a zombie. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and then the numbers turn because they're still going to get the first attack for that hand-to-hand. So I'm going to move into shooting for the Nurgle now, and I'm really hoping that my Cadian will be able to hold them off, especially the Chimera. It did pretty well last time, but it did have 3 wounds taken off, so if it can try to survive again, turn itself around, and these Cadian can start to move, and get in to surround it, I think I can hopefully get out of here in the last 4 turns of the game, but we will see. So still lots left. I'm going to roll off camera for the Nurgle, and we'll come back. I'm going to do the shoot and the hand-to-hand combat and show you guys the outcome. Alright, that concludes turn 2 for the Death Guard. The Beast of Nurgle went into hand-to-hand combat against the Cadian section here, and the troopers were able to fend it off, so they just kind of bounced off of each other. No wounds were lost on either side. The Defiler here definitely has some incredible long range and short range hand-to-hand weapons, and it was able to do some more damage to my Hellhound. So my Hellhound Imp with the heavy bolter, my mark for greatness last battle is down to 7 wounds. Luckily there's no combat ineffectiveness rule in this one, so that's good. My fetid bloat drone shot at the Chimera, as did the Predator Annihilator, as did the Plague Marines, and it is still pretty good with 8 wounds left. So the entire bodyguard for Bort Bort, the Rogue Trader, is in the back, so I'm going to get this thing the hell out of here as quickly as I can, try to get it out of enemies' way right off the bat. My Kazarkin here with the Castellan. The Castellan went toe-to-toe with the Blightlord. I rolled off camera for that. They were at a standstill, which is really cool, so my Castellan was able to hold off like a 10,000-year-old Death Guard champion that would have been fighting against like Sigismund and some pretty badass guys back in the day. So that was very cool. My Kazarkin squad did not fare quite as well. They lost a guy to the zombies. He turned into a zombie, and then they were able to fight back and kill that zombie. So their buddy turned, and then they had to finish him off. So that was pretty much the side. I don't think I forgot anything there. Over here we had the Plague Burst Crawler fire a round into the Rogel Dorn. Nothing happened. The Myphitic Blight Haulers also fired rounds into it. Nothing happened, which was great. My command squad got pretty busted up by the Death Guard Hellbrute. They were able to fend it off though, and there was a stalemate there, so I'm hoping this next turn, with the amount of firepower around it, they can finally take that thing out and have my Sentinel, Rogel Dorn, and Hellhound start to really pick away at the Myphitic Blight Haulers. The Death Guard Nurgle Demon Prince did a real number on the bodyguards, so they lost 4 guys in that turn in hand-to-hand against. They may have actually only lost 3. I forget if a zombie finished them off last time, but they are starting to dwindle, and they're still right in the middle of the chaos. So they're right beside a Death Guard Land Raider. They have the Demon Prince there. They have Typhus coming right at them with his Death Shroud Terminators. They've got the Plague Bearers. They've got another small unit of Plague Marines, and then the Myphitic Blight Haulers are blocking their path to get through. So I'm going to try to squirrel them into the cemetery maybe, but the turns are starting to dwindle. So if I start to move too far away from the road system, I might not be able to get over to the Arvis Lighter by a 6th turn and get out of here. So I'm going to move back to my Cadian now. It's going to be the move. There's less models now. I think I'm still going to do move, and then I'll do shoot and hand-to-hand combat together in one go. And yeah, last but not least, the Preacher and Sergeant Dakota's section were able to fend off the zombies, and they killed 1, I believe. So they're going to hopefully blast them this turn as well and free up that area. There is, however, a fetid bloat drone coming towards them. Probably will be in range of its weaponry when they kill those zombies. And then there's another small zombie group here that is very close to another trooper section of Cadian. So we're going to see what this turn does. It's still anyone's game at this point, I would say. Still lots of turns, but it doesn't matter if I kill 80% of these Nurgle forces. If the Rogue Traders don't get out, at least one of them, it's a loss. So I have to either kill every single Nurgle on this board, get really aggressive that way, or get these guys moving super fast, and I've only got 4 turns left to do that. So this thing moves 10 inches per turn. It's going to be really close because it's got to go doop, unless it can cut across the cemetery, which I might have to do. But then it's getting close to that fetid bloat drone and the Myphitic Blight Haulers. So it's going to be a very important turn this turn. It's going to hopefully open up some alleyways and see what we can do. But I'll be fighting hard for my Cadian, and then it'll go back to the Nurgle, and we'll see how this kind of mid-battle turn goes. All right, this brings us to the end of the movement phase for the Cadian turn 3. I had Veronica, the Rogue Trader, with her Adeptus Arbites, the remaining squad, move back a wee bit. They're still stuck in between some pretty tough Plague Marine Death Guard models. My Khazar can wheeled around though to kind of hopefully in the next couple turns they're going to be shooting at those Myphitic Blade Haulers, but also they can probably try to spin around here and make a wall to at least hold up some of the enemies. Hopefully they don't go down, because that would be a battle scar, but we'll see what happens. They have the Psyker there too to help out. My command squad, the remaining 2 members, so the veteran and the lieutenant or captain, have teamed up with this section here. They've given the take aim order, and we're hoping to take down the last wound of the Hellbrute in the shooting phase. My Hellhound, Rogaldorn, and Sentinels are all lined up as well to start blasting at whatever targets we need to next turn. So there's a few things in range here. The Demon Prince, we've got the Raiders, the Land Raider, we've got the Death Shroud Terminators, so we'll see what they want to pick at, as well as the Myphitic Blade Haulers that are probably the biggest concern, but we'll see if I get some really lucky rolls and maybe wipe some stuff off the board. In here we've got the Preacher and 2 section that are still, he's pointing a shotgun right at the zombies' heads, so shotguns versus zombies is usually great. Hopefully they can take out this remaining little section or squad here of zombies and get an experience point for that, which would be great. Over here, my sections have come right in on the Beast of Nurgle. I'm hoping that those 2 will be able to take it out. It has 2 wounds remaining with very high toughness, so we'll see how that goes. The Rogaldorn Battle Tank, Double Impact, as well as the Hellhound have got the Defiler in their sights. This one here was alone last time, the Hellhound, so the Rogaldorn, I'm hoping is going to be enough to maybe get some more wounds off this and lock this up, as Bort Bort and his Adeptus Arbite bodyguard have gotten into the Chimera and are starting to roll down the road. So I still have 4, 5, and 6 turn left. This thing moves 10 inches, so I'm thinking if we can keep going that I can get there in time. There is the Plague Burst Crawler, however, over here for the Death Guard that could start firing, and it's got a 48-inch range on the Plague Burst cannon, I believe, so that could pose a problem. We'll see. Castellan Cage wants to finish off this combat with the 10,000 plus year old Blight Lord Terminator, and he's gone right back into hand to tie him up and to also clear the path for his Khazarkin Sharkgar's own with their take aim command to hopefully take out this entire Poxwalker group, and from that get an experience point. These Plague Marines are open, but we'll see how that goes. And then Lord Solar Leontus has gone right into hand-to-hand combat with these zombies, and he is going to hopefully take them out, and that was able to pull some stressors off of the Khazarkin so they could aim their entire section at those Poxwalkers. So we're going to see, I'm going to move to the shoot phase right now. I'll also do hand-to-hand as well, and I'll show you the outcomes of those in just a sec. Alright, so I'm going to try to sum up everything from turn 3 shoot and hand-to-hand combat phase for my Cadian 555th. These 2 sections tried to shoot at the Beast of Nurgle, and they were able to take 1 wound off. I believe it was the Melta. It still has 1 wound, and my Chimera also, I said, you know what, this thing's transporting them, but it can still take a crack at it. So I fired the multi-laser, the lasgun array, and the heavy flamer, and nothing happened with that one. Even worse was my Rogaldorn here, and my Hellhound fired every single weapon they had at the Defiler. I was really hoping by some chance to take this out this turn, but this thing is very strong. It might be the Death Guard's kind of champion so far in this game because it's been phenomenal. I did take a few wounds, so it has 8, but I was hoping to wipe this thing off the board, but it's got some crazy weapons, so we're going to see what happens next turn. Over here in the hand-to-hand, Leontus as well, and Constantine, I was hoping we're going to take out more of those zombies. So they did kill, I think, 2 or 3 in hand-to-hand combat, but the 4 were kind of trying to swipe, and nothing happened from the zombie side, but I did kill a few of them, so hopefully Leontus can finish them off next turn. I was going to originally shoot with the Khazarkin Sharkgar's own, who has the take aim command from the Castellan at the Poxwalkers that are here, but instead I fired them at the Plague Marines. They were able to kill that last Plague Marine that had a wound, and then they were able to wound another one, so that one's down to 1 wound. So not great. I was hoping to do a little bit more, but with the toughness 5 of those Plague Marines, it's really crazy. Over here we had the bout that I just showed on my dice rolling tray. So it was another standoff between these 2, and it came to a draw, so that will continue probably next turn, unless my Terminator wants to blast at the Castellan instead, so we'll see how that rolls. Over here, These are all Plague Marine Nurgle models, so nothing really happened there. My Adeptus Arbites tried to shoot at the Demon Prince, and they were not able to do anything to it. My Hellhounds, my Rogel Dorn, and my 2 Sentinels shot at the Myphitic Blighthaulers. They were able to wipe one off. I was really hoping again to be able to take more out, but these things are also very good. Toughness 9 or 10. So for little tiny models, they're actually really good, and they have great weapon systems. So I know they've wounded the Rogel Dorn in the past turns there, so I'm hoping that doesn't happen here, but they're going to keep shooting with those multi-meltas. My Khazarkin here were able to shoot at the... I think it was actually them that took out the Myphitic Blighthaulers. So all of these guys fired at it, and I think they wounded it, but it was my Khazarkin that finished it off. So that's great. And then over on this side, which is also phenomenal. By the way, that's not a unit kill because I have the Myphitic Blighthaulers in as a unit of 3. Over here, though, this section led by Sergeant Voof, who's had some issues in the past, is actually doing pretty well this time, and they were the ones that killed the Hellbrute. So the Hellbrute has a pretty high toughness, but the Flamer got a lucky, blast in there with its flame, and it melted it, and the Hellbrute was killed. So these guys got another point. I think they have 2 unit kills this game, which is fantastic. So far, too, like, seeing what's going on right now, they might be my All-Stars. I may be marking them for greatness here, unless my Castellan can kind of wipe out that Blightlord Terminator, and then, of course, I will give it to him. Over here, too, this was kind of Boo-Earns. My Preacher, as well as an entire section, fired at all of those zombies. Well, there wasn't all of them. There's like 6 maybe, and they killed 3. So there's still 3 zombies there. They're probably going to be in hand-to-hand combat this coming turn because the zombies want to eat the Preacher's brain. But I was really, really hoping to be able to wipe them out and just get that clear to open up an additional path. So there's stuff going on here through the graveyard too, so we have another zombie squad there, and then also a fetid bloat drone coming in. I also forgot to mention, at the beginning of turn 3, the Gift of Nurgle has actually expanded. So during the first turn and the second turn, it was only 1 inch diameter around, so that made it harder for the Castellan 2 to attack the Blightlord, because they currently have a 3-inch radius now around each of the models that are part of the Plague Marine Death Guard. The demons don't get that. I don't know if that's going to change in the new codex. I'm using the app for both the Astra Militarum and for the Death Guard, and they don't have codexes yet, so that may change when those come out. I know that I have seen the Krieg codex front come out there, because I know that they're going to be coming out the Death Corps of Krieg. So it's only a matter of time until the codex comes out for the Astra Militarum. I'm hoping that my narrative will be done before then, because I'm definitely going to get the book. It's just if the rules are kind of like here and there and there's different things that happen, it might make things confusing for 10th. And on the application, if you don't have the codex, it doesn't unlock the stuff. So the Death Guard will be out of the way. I'm probably going to pick up their Codex 2 when it comes out, but I'm hoping the Astra Militarum will hold off for a couple more months, and I can get my Crusades done. 3 or 4 battles left for them, and then I'm probably going to move it to another allied force, or we'll see what we do, maybe do some 30k shoots. But anyways, I'm going to move over now to my Death Guard and Nurgle turn 3, and we're going to see what havoc is reigned now, because there is... I was really hoping to have a better turn there with my Cadian, so let's see what happens. All right, Death Guard Nurgle turn 3 movement phase is done. The Myphitic Blighthaulers moved up closer to the Rogel Dorn battle tank, so they can really take advantage of the Melta skill from the multi-Meltas. The Land Raider drove right into the Khazarkin Tigers here, so that's going to be... we'll see what happens. Like, sometimes the hand-to-hand combat from the tank isn't too bad, but it's definitely rammed them, so they're going to have to make some saves there. The Demon Prince has moved in to the Arbites once again with the Rogue Trader, Veronica, and we're going to see if they can repel this thing again. Massive damage from that sword and the Power Fist. Over here, the rest of the Death Guard and Nurgle force moved up. Typhus slowly sort of moving along there with his Death Shroud Terminators, but he's like, a killer in a movie that's really slow and they catch up to you anyways. That's Typhus pretty much. The Plague Burst Crawler moved up the road to get into better range, and it is going to be firing at the Chimera that holds the other Rogue Trader, Bort Bort, and his bodyguard of Adeptus Arbites. It does some damage too. That Chimera has a few wounds left, and it's right in the fray over here. This is the busier side of the battlefield for sure. Castle and Cage once again in combat with that Blight Lord Champion. The Blight Lord Champion wants to finish him off, so came right back into hand-to-hand combat. The Poxwalker squad that the Khazarkin decided not to shoot at last time are now into hand-to-hand combat with them. The Plague Marines have moved up, as have the Fetid Bloat Drone and the Predator, to put some rounds down on the Ogryn that are here in the Commissar. I really hope that that won't be the end of them, because that would be another battle scar for that unit. The Defiler, very devastating vehicle, is now going to be able to retaliate on the Rogaldorn and the Hellhound. The Beast of Nurgle has gone into hand-to-hand combat with, I think it's Sergeant Seranc's 1 section, so we're going to see how that comes. Zombies have come out of the graveyard, the last 5 of this little squad, and they're very close to getting into combat with the other section here, led by Sergeant Apone. And then the Preacher and the Cadian here are in hand-to-hand combat, and also the Fetid Bloat Drone has moved from the center of the graveyard out. So if they do finish off those zombies, that Fetid Bloat Drone is going to absolutely decimate that section, and then it's also there to be able to block the path of the Chimera. So this is going to be a really close battle again. I was thinking it was starting to roll Cadian pretty easy at the beginning, just the way that the Nurgle move and how slow they are. But that toughness that they have and the weapons that they have available has made this quite an even battle. So I need to get rolling here, because I only have turn 4, 5, and 6 after this to be able to get at least one of the rogue traders to the Arvis Lighter landing pad. And I don't know if this group's going to make it. So if they die, I have a 1 rogue trader left to pass the mission. And if not, and both die, then that is going to be a loss for my Cadian. Hoping that's not going to be the case. But I will move now into the Death Guard Nurgle shooting phase, and then also the hand-to-hand. And if there's any cool rolls that I think I should cover, I'll go back to my dice tray and roll that for you guys. But I will be back to show you the outcome of that. Alright, so the shoot phase for the Death Guard Nurgle is almost done for their turn 3. I just wanted to bring this one up because it is the Plague Burst Mortar firing from the Plague Burst Crawler at the Chimera that has the Rogue Trader as well as the Airbites in there. So let's see. I'm really hoping that they can pull this one off. It's a D6 plus 3. So we got a 4, so it's going to be 7 dice in total. So we got our 4 from the D6 plus 3. It's hitting on a 3+. Yeah, I've been rolling very well for the Death Guard. It seems to be kind of a common thing. Like with all my battles, I roll really well for my enemies, especially when it's not a good time to do that for the Cadian. But I'm playing, by the rules and playing honestly. So here we go. It is a Strength 8 weapon versus Toughness 9, so I'm going to need 5s to wound. Got 2 5s, so that's good for the Cadian. And with this one, it is a -1, so the Chimera has to make 4+ saves. So there's 1 4. 1 was not saved, so it is a 2 damage weapon, which means that 2 wounds have been dealt to my Chimera. Okay, and just finishing up the Death Guard Nurgle turn 3, I'm going to be doing the hand-to-hand combat again versus the Blight Lord Terminator Champion and the Castellan. They've been at each other for the last few turns, and I'm going to see how this one ends. I'm hoping that my Castellan can fight back here and beat him, but right now the Blight Lord Terminator Champion has the ability to fight first because he went into combat. So we're going to be rolling here 3 pluses to hit. So there's 2, that's good, 50%. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3. So this is going to be wounding on 3s. 1 wound. Actually, it's 2 because the toughness has gone down due to the Gift of Nurgle. So it's actually 2 that have gone through. It is a -2, so my Castellan is at his invulnerable save of 5+. He got 1 wound taken. He saved another wound. So he's lost a wound, and now he's going back to fight the Blight Lord Terminator with his Power Fist. So this might be it right here. Let's cheer him on and see how he does. Castellan Cage versus Blight Lord Terminator Champion, Power Fist. So I have 4 attacks with the 3 attacks with the Power Fist, hitting on 3+. There's a good roll. All 3 are through. That's great. It is a Toughness 6 for the Blight Lord Terminator. With the Cadian Castellan, Power Fist is a Strength 6. So I need 4s here to wound. Not as great as I was hoping. So I got 1 wound through. That Blightlord Terminator champion has 1 wound left. There is a -2 AP, which would bring it up to 4+, which is also the invulnerable save. So that's going to be a 4+ save. If he doesn't make this, he is dead. He saved it. So that battle is going to continue again for another round. But some good rolling, and I'm going to go show you guys on my other camera how everything came out from the shooting and the hand-to-hand combat phase. Alrighty, so you guys saw a few rolls there from that turn. It was a lot to cover, a lot happened, so I'm going to try to sum it all up as best I can. So first things first, that Nurgle's gift is pretty devastating in regards to lowering the toughness of models that don't have a very high toughness to begin with. So a lot of the Cadian were down to a 2 toughness if they were in hand-to-hand combat or being shot, which isn't good. So first one here is I lost 2 Khazarkin from the Land Raider ramming into them. Over here, the Arbites were really messed up, so they lost 2 or 3 during that turn. Luckily, they have that 4+ invulnerable save, which helped, but their toughness was down to 2, which was not good. My Rogel Dorn as well, not in great shape either. Let me just see how many wounds are left here. It has 2 wounds left. So these Myphitic Blight Haulers with their multi-meltas and cracks did like 6 or 7 wounds to the Rogel Dorn, so it is very possible next turn, if I don't get these things out of here, that it is going to be lost, and it'll be a battle scar for that, which is not good for one of my better tanks. These guys were not involved as they weren't in hand-to-hand or shot at. Over on this side, there was a stalemate again, as you guys saw from the roll, between Castle and Cage and the Blightlord Terminator champion, so they just kind of bounced off each other again. They're really going at it, which is pretty cool. He's standing his ground. The Khazarkin here lost a guy in hand-to-hand combat, which brought another Poxwalker back, and then they were able to fight back, and the sergeant with his power weapon, Power Sword, was able to kill one of the Poxwalkers. Over on this side here, my Ogrins were messed up really badly too. I lost 2 of them, so that is 6 wounds total that was lost from the Ogrins, and that was due to the Plague Marines here shooting at them, as well as the Fetid Bloat Drone. Leontus back here was attacked by the zombies. They did not do any wounds to him, and then he was able to strike back and kill 2 of them, but they do have a toughness of 4, and he was down to a toughness of 3 due to the plague, so that is weakening him too. And if I keep going into hand-to-hand with him against these models, and that aura or ring around them gets bigger, it's not good. So I'm going to have to get these guys a distance, I think, to be able to shoot. But the thing is, the Death Guard have very high toughness too, so when you're shooting with like las guns and las pistols, bolt pistols, weaker weapons, it doesn't do great. Over here, my worst loss of the turn was the Beast of Nurgle went in against a section. It's poor Sergeant Apone again. This guy's had a rough go so far in the Crusade, but they killed, 8 of them were killed, and they weren't able to strike back at the Beast of Nurgle. So actually, maybe, because it might have had 2 wounds, that might be incorrect. So like he fought back with his chainsword, it may have been from 2 to 1, so they were able to battle back, but they lost 8 to the Beast of Nurgle. Over here, the Defiler still has 8 whole wounds, and it fired at these 2 tanks. The Rogel Dorn actually was its main target, and it lost a wound. It went from 18 to 17. So I'm hoping that these can continue to battle it out, hold up the Defiler, because if it starts moving towards the Chimera that has Bort Bort in there and his bodyguard, it's not going to be good. Over here, I was really hoping that Sergeant Dakota's section would be able to kill these zombies with the Preacher. Instead, 2 of them were killed. One of them was killed, so they have 9 left. A zombie came back, and then they weren't able to do any damage, but the Preacher did kill that 1 zombie that came back. So there's still 4 there, and the Fetid Bloat Drone in the background that's able to kind of move freely, maybe chase after the Chimeras. It's coming into the Arvis Lighter and landing pad. So we're going to see it's moving back to my Cadian now for their move phase. I'm going to come back and show you guys the move from there, and then we'll do the shoot and the hand-to-hand. And I really hope that we can get this Chimera moving down here, because even if it's still alive at the end of the 6th turn, if it's not at the landing pad, I lose the battle. So I think at this point, I'm not able to like completely wipe out these Nurgle. They're too strong. Their toughness is way too high, so I've got to sort of change gears and start to escort more so. So I think a lot of movement here to try to get in between You know, the Demon Prince, the Land Raiders, the Myphitic Blight Haulers there, and try to get Rogue Trader Veronica out of there. So this turn is going to be very interesting. The battle's half done. There's still 3 turns remaining, but it's still far from over. So let's see how it goes. Oh yes, one more thing. The Plague Burst Cannon also fired at the Chimera, and it did not do any damage. So that was a good thing. Actually, no, maybe it did. I forgot to cover that. So yeah, it's down to 6. I believe it had 7 wounds, or 8 maybe at the start. So the Plague Burst Cannon knocked off 1 or 2 wounds, and that's not good, because if they are still inside there and it explodes, they could be killed. And really the only way that I can make up that ground over the next 3 turns is with the speed of the Chimera. So if it gets exploded and there's still a few models left in there, they do not have the foot speed to be able to make it, even with like a run command, to the Arvis Lighter. So we're going to see how that is. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm going to move over now to the Cadian for their turn 4 start. So we're going to do movement, and then I'll be back to show you what has happened. All right, Cadian move phase for turn 4 is done. The Chimera, I actually had to calculate how far the launch pad is, or the landing pad, and it was not going to make it fall in the road. So I drove over this fence and I put it right into the graveyard. So I'm going to go right across to the landing pad. I backed up my Rogaldorn and Hellhound. I'll go get over there in a sec, but just to open that up and hopefully be further enough away from the Myphitic Blight Hauler so they can't keep destroying them. My Sentinel also kind of did a block here, right into the Fetid Bloat Drone to open up a path. So it's going to go into hand-to-hand combat with that. My Cadian here did not move. They're going to try to shoot and finish off those zombies, and then hopefully maybe also lock in with the Fetid Bloat Drone next turn. We'll see. My Cadian squad down here moved back both sections to have the Beast of Nurgle in their sights. Leontus also stepped in to take on the remaining zombies in hand-to-hand combat to make sure that they were also tied up so they couldn't attack the Cadian shooting or try to go after the Chimera. My Hellhound is now the only tank that is facing the Defiler, because I moved my Rogaldorn over here to see how I can handle this situation. This is the strongest Death Guard force on the board that still remains. Yeah, I'd say they're pretty strong. The other side there is not bad, but they're slow. This one here, I'm going to have to really pick my targets well, because that Predator's got some great weaponry with the last cannon. The Fetid Bloat Drone can do some hand-to-hand combat. It can fly in and do some damage too with its weapons. The Khazarkin are holding here. I think they're going to be absolute heroes, and they're going to try to fire at that Fetid Bloat Drone with their weaponry. The Predator's a little out of their league in regards to toughness, so I think they're going to put all their firepower on that, which opens them up to zombies that are here that Leontus had thinned out, and also the Poxwalkers. So that's going to be probably hand-to-hand combat next phase, but they're going to try to take out whatever they can. Castellan Cage also right back in with the Blight Lord Champion. He lost a wound last turn, but he wants to kill this thing badly. It would be a unit kill for him, and also maybe we'll make him marked for greatness. We'll have to see, because you guys don't understand. This is like a normal human man with a power fist fighting a 7 or 8 foot Terminator that is 10,000 plus years old. So if he kills that thing, I think he deserves it. We'll see though how the rest of the kills happen. Over on this side, I was able to finally get these Arbites and the Rogue Trader Veronica out of the mess. The Khazarkin have also stepped up, so they're going to start to put some firepower on the Demon Prince and also try to lock in with that next turn to free these guys up to move. I did not calculate. They might just be able to reach the landing pad from where they are, mattering on how many moves are left. This entire section here, as well as the command squad, have the Myphitic Blight Haulers in their sight to clear that out, that roadblock that's been there pretty much since the beginning of the game. These things are like the damn Abominant from the Genestealer Cultist battle last time. They just won't die. They have their full wounds, they have good weaponry, good toughness, and they're also going to be, weakening any of the units that are 3 inches around them with that Nurgle's Gift. My Sentinel over here, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use it against the Myphitic Blight Hauler or maybe take a pot shot at the Land Raider to weaken that up, but this thing needs to fire. It hasn't fired very well throughout my entire Crusade, so I'm hoping by some miracle that it does it this time. And just to finish up, I'll show you guys again, my Rogel Dorn and my Hellhound moved back to try to get out of range of those Myphitic Blight Hauler Multi-Meltas. And I'm going to put every single weapon that I have on these into those to try to wound them. It's going to be very interesting. There's only, 2.5 turns left here, so it's going to get very, very tight. What I thought was going to be a pretty easy fight at the start to be able to move has turned into something a little more difficult. And we are now going to move into the Cadian shoot and hand-to-hand phase, and I will come back and show you the outcome of all of that. Good luck, Cadian, and Cadia will hopefully stand. Alright, so we're coming up on the end of Cadian turn 4. This is hand-to-hand now, so this is Leontus versus the zombies. He's going to have a minus toughness too because of the gift of Nurgle there, Nurgle's gift. So we're going to see how he does. Hopefully he can kill these things before they can fight back, because if they do fight back, his toughness is going to get lowered. So here we go. It is 2s to hit. He hit with everything he has. That's fantastic. It is strength 6 versus toughness 4, so he's wounding on 3s. There we go. Another very good roll. It's been actually a pretty good phase for my Cadian. I'm excited to show you guys in just a sec how everything went. And now these things have been wounded, so it's going to be they're feel no pain because they usually have a 7+ save, so they have to make 5+ feel no pain saves here. One did, but how many are around him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 of them are dead. And I get Constantine hits horse to attack as well. So that's 4 pluses. 1 is through. Here we go. Let's see how this goes. It's 4 on 4. I need a 4 to wound. I got a 4. Sweet. And if it does not roll a 5 here, that means that the zombie group around Leontus are dead. And it rolled a 4. So that's amazing. Leontus gets a point, an experience point for killing a unit, and those zombies are off the table and they can't fight back against a weakened toughness for Leontus. I'm going to be rolling in just a sec for the Castellan versus the Blightlord Champion, and we'll see how that goes next. Okay, here we go. So this is the final hand-to-hand combat for turn 4 of the Cadian. This is Castellan Cage versus the Blightlord Champion. They've been going at it for a little while now. Same as Leontus, his toughness is going to be weakened here when and if the Terminator Blightlord Champion fights back. So let's see how it goes. He needs 3s here to hit. Keep those rolls coming. Okay, so we got 2. It's not too bad. It is a strength 4 versus a toughness 6. So I'm rolling 5s here to wound. Sorry, 6 on 6, so it's 4s to wound. I got 1 wound in. Oh, geez, here we go. So this brings the Blightlord Terminator up to a 4+, which is also invulnerable. It rolled a 2. Castellan Cage has beat a 10,000+ year old Blightlord Terminator in Cataphracti armor. Incredible. He gets an experience point for that too. And I do think he might get my mark for greatness unless another unit really steps up. But he has been against that thing forever. He has locked it up so other units could fight and not have to worry about facing it face to face. So incredible job. I'm going to go back to my other camera and show you guys how this turn went for the Cadian. Alright, I was just talking with this guy. So Castellan Cage did away with that Blightlord Terminator champion. He's ready to go back into it. Might even take on these Poxwalkers next turn just to see what's going on. A lot happened in that turn, so I'm going to try to recap as best I can. The Khazarkin were able to, I think, take a wound off the no, it was the Fetid Bloat Drone that was there, and then the Rogel Dorn finished it off, double impact, so that was a point for the Rogel Dorn. Not much else happened over here in regards to this area of the battlefield. So the Ogren and the Commissar tried to shoot into the Plague Marines. Not much happened with that. Over here, however, my Hellhound did a great job. It got some really good rolls with that Melta-Cannon, and the Defiler, as you can see, is down to 2 wounds. So it's still working. But it had a lot of wounds taken from it there. So seeing that it was just the Hellhound this time versus it, that was great. The Beast of Nurgle was finished off by Sergeant Seranc's section of Cadian troopers. So that is an experience point for them. They've actually had a pretty good battle. They've taken out, I think, 2 enemy units so far. I'm going to recap everything at the end just to make sure. And I've been following along, like I have to break away from the rolls just to make sure that I'm tracking, but that was great. Over here, the Preacher with Sergeant Dakota in 2 section, they killed a couple of zombies. I was really hoping they were going to finish off the remaining 2, but they did not. These guys really haven't moved much since the beginning of the game. I was hoping they'd be able to push forward a bit more in the graveyard and clean up some of those zombies, but that's kind of had to fall to other units. The Fetid Bloat Drone here too was in hand-to-hand with the Sentinel. The Sentinel was able to take a wound off of it, and then when the Fetid Bloat Drone fought back, it did no damage to the Sentinel, but it now has the Chimera that has Rogue Trader Bort Bort and his bodyguard in there, so that's in range of the Fetid Bloat Drone. So we're going to see what happens during that turn, because we're going to Death Guard Nurgle here in just a sec. The Hellhound and Rogel Dorn did great, so there's only 1 Blight Hauler left. It's down to 8 wounds, so they were able to chip some wounds off of it. The Sentinel, I actually did a supercharge, so it's hazardous, but I wanted to do it, and it, of course, with the luck this thing's had in my campaign, the hazardous attack was failed, and it lost 3 wounds, so it's down to 4, so it literally damaged itself. It hasn't really killed anything throughout the campaign, but it does like to do damage to itself, so kind of stuck with that thing. It's I don't know if I'm going to bring Sentinels in the future. I know I mentioned that, but it's just not pulling its weight. Especially with this like minus toughness now, if it's trying to get into hand-to-hand and stuff, it's tricky, which is what happened here too. So I'm lucky that the Sentinel has a high enough toughness that it wasn't affected, but there were some units that were definitely affected in hand-to-hand due to the minus toughness. My Kazrakin down here, the Tigers, as well as the Primary Psyker and the Adeptus Arbites that are with Rogue Trader Veronica, all tried to fire at the Demon Prince. It is down a couple of wounds. I think they were able to knock a few off, but it is still at 5 wounds and ready to rock and roll, and very, very close to being in range again to hand-to-hand combat, and that thing is very good in hand-to-hand. This group here, moving very slow. That's Typhus's kind of entourage. They haven't really moved much throughout the game. They move very, very slow, but again, if he continues to kind of drudge forward, things could get bad. I believe that's everything. If I think of anything else when the camera's off and I'm moving my Plague Marines around, I'll let you know. But now it goes back to the Death Guard for their 4th turn move, and then I'm going to come back, show you what happens there. And from there, it's going to be shoot in hand-to-hand, but I'll do move first and then try to sum up shoot in hand-to-hand in the next couple steps. Still weird. Like, I'm not getting a feeling yet of my Cadian pulling away. The Castellan beating that Blightlord Terminator was amazing. Might be the turning point, but it's still strange. Like, there's still a lot left. I've got to still move a lot as well. And after this Death Guard turn, I only have 2 turns left for the Cadian. So I'm really hoping that we can get going here. These Myphitic Blight Haulers have been a problem. They block the road. My Arbiters, or my Adeptus Arbites, have not been able to move. The Chimera had to cut across the graveyard, so it's still, 2 turns out. So if this thing gets held up in hand-to-hand, or if something happens to it, it might be slowed. Or if it gets exploded, they're going to be back on foot, and I don't know if there's enough turns left to get these guys over to the Arvis Lighter landing pad. So I'm going to move my Death Guard now, see what strategy I pull. I'm always playing hard for both sides, and I'll do the best strategy that I believe works for the Death Guard, and we will take it from there, and I'll show you what happened. Okay, so Death Guard turn 4 movement phase is complete. As I said earlier, Typhus is like that slow killer in a movie. He moves super slow, but look how close they are now to the Arbites and the Rogue Trader, as well as my Kazrakin, as well as a section, my command squad. So they've moved up. If these guys get into hand-to-hand combat with anyone, Plague Bearers, Death Shroud Terminators, or Typhus, it's not going to be good. So they're very, very close, and these guys are held up again with the Demon Prince, which is also amazing in hand-to-hand. So this turn may decide the fight. If the Cadian make it through here, I think we might be okay, but we'll have to see. The Land Raider also pivoted around, and it's got either the Kazrakin in its sights, the Chimera is also in its sights. The reason I say this may be the turn is because of how many weapons are currently firing at the Chimera. So we have the remaining Blight Hauler that close to the Chimera. we have this fetid bloat drone that close to the Chimera in range. We also have the Land Raider that I just showed you guys, and then also the Plague Burst Crawler has its mortar, and it's going to lob around probably right down on top of this during the shoot phase, which is just about to happen. Over here we have the Plague Marines, who also move quite slowly, 5 inches, move up a bit. So they have the Ogryn, the Commissar in their sights. That's probably going to be their aim because their weapons are not strong enough. You might get lucky and penetrate the Rogel Dorn a little bit, but they're going to be firing for the less armored models. The Predator is going to take the role of trying to penetrate that Rogel Dorn, so it's going to be shooting at that. And then down here, my Khazarkin squad has been completely consumed by Poxwalkers, as well as my zombie models that I showed you guys at the very start of the battle, my custom guys. Also with the Nurgle's Gift, they are going to be minusing the toughness on my Khazarkin, so that's going to be easier to wound and to possibly kill them. My Castellan, he's kind of stuck right now. He just defeated that Blight Lord Terminator, but that was his move, so he's watching his Khazarkin squad that he's been leading since the beginning of the game, you know, getting attacked by a whole bunch of Poxwalkers and Pestilence. They had the Take Aim command, which did help them fire some rounds at that fetid bloat drone at the start of the past turn, but it is not the fixed bayonets, which would have helped them in hand-to-hand combat. So we're going to see how that goes. I think that's everything for the movement. This turn is going to be super important, as I stated, and we're going to see mainly if that Chimera is still together by the end of this turn, and if it does get destroyed, who gets killed within. So I'm going to do all that right now, the shoot, the hand-to-hand, and I'm going to come back and show you what the Death Guard have done to my Cadian. Hold out, Cadian, you can do it. I believe in you. Alright, so we rolled off for the big stuff against the Chimera, and also against the Arbites with Rogue Trader Veronica, who were facing the Demon Prince. I'm going to recap the rest here too. So the 2 section with Dakota lost some guys. They came back as zombies, and then the Preacher fought back and killed the 2 that were back. So these guys haven't really moved all game. They came through the gate, and they were right into zombie feast territory right away. So I'm hoping with the shoot here we can clear it out and then maybe give some support to the Chimera against the fetid bloat drone. Down here, nothing really happened. All the enemies were gone. This, however, the Defiler in hand-to-hand combat crushed my Hellhound. So that is the Hellhound Imp that got my Marked for Greatness last game. It had the additional weapon skill, and the Defiler completely destroyed it. So I'm really glad that I moved my Chimera away from it as quickly as I could, because next, if it doesn't take care of it, is the Rogel Dorn. And to tell you the truth, the strength of this thing's Defiler Claws could probably crush the hull of the Rogel Dorn as well, and it is wounded a bit too. So the autocannons from the Predator here did not do anything to the Rogel Dorn this turn, even though it had the minus toughness, so that was good. My Ogryn lost a wound from the Plague Marines that shot at him and the Commissar. He took the brunt of the wounds, though, as a good Ogryn does. My Khazarkin here fought against the Poxwalkers. They had one of their buddies turn, and then they were able to kill one back. So that was another stalemate, and we're going to see what happens. The -1 to toughness has been really pretty drastic in regards to the hand-to-hand combat. So the Khazarkin there usually wouldn't have gone down because the Poxwalkers aren't very strong, but with that toughness weakened from the Nurgle gift, it really affected them. So my Castellan is free now too after killing that Blight Lord, so we're going to see if we can finish off that Poxwalker group and get another experience point for my Khazarkin there. The Plague Burst Crawler, we saw it shot. It didn't do anything to my Chimera, which was great. Over here, woof, a lot happened. So my Plague Marines were in range back here, and they were shooting in between and over the heads of these Plague Bearers, and they did quite a number on the Khazarkin Tigers, led by the Primaris Psyker. Also, the Land Raider opened up with those twin-linked heavy bolters and also did some damage. So they are down to 5 in that squad with the Primaris Psyker. And the Demon Prince, as we saw, decimated that Arbites unit. So there's just the Arbite like Sergeant Champion left with the Rogue Trader, and I don't think they're going to make it because they're still within range of the Demon Prince. They got to move quick or someone's going to have to tie that thing up, maybe my Khazarkin, and if that happens, they're going to get lost. Still a lot of units over here from Cadian, but I wanted to get them out of range of those Myphitic Blight Haulers, so they're still there. I'm hoping that they can do some damage. We're going to move to the Cadian move turn now. I don't think I missed anything, so everything's been covered, and you know, if I can get that Chimera over to the landing pad, it will be game over in the next 2 turns, and I'll have won. So still could go any way though, with the Nurgle's Gift out here weakening my guys. They still have lots of ranged units with high strength. They have high toughness for all their defense. So really fair battle, and I'm just really hoping that that Chimera can get over to the landing pad and at least get one of the Rogue Traders out, and I only have 2 turns to do that. So wish me luck. Here we go. Turn 5 starting up for the Cadians move, and I'll be right back to show you how that shakes out, and then we'll move to shooting in hand-to-hand after. Alright, Cadian turn 4 move phase done. Some absolutely heroic movement here by my Cadian. Leontus went his full 12 inches and ran right into the side of the Fetid Bloat Drone to hold it up. The Sentinel came in on the other side and they were squishing it. He's able to give an order because he's just within 6 inches of those 2 remaining guys from, I think it's Sergeant Apone's section. He gave them the take aim order to help out this section with the Preacher finally take care of these 3 zombies. So we'll see who gets the experience point for that. My Rogel Dorn wheeled backwards, and it's got its double impact battle cannons aimed at the Defiler that's down to 2 wounds. And Cadian section are going to put everything they have right into that thing to try to take it out. Over here, my Ogryn jumped into hand-to-hand combat with my Commissar. They're in hand-to-hand with Plague Marines. These guys have also been around, you know, for 10,000 plus years. They're old Death Guard Legion, so we're really going to see how that goes. They've got some pretty nasty weapons too, so I will get the first turn in that hand-to-hand, but the Plague Marine will be able to fight back. Over here too, he let his guys go. He let his lads, you know, try to retreat and go help out. Castellan Cage, after finishing off that Blight Lord Terminator, has jumped right into hand-to-hand combat with an entire group of Poxwalkers. His toughness is going to take a hit. During this turn too, the Nurgle's Gift has expanded to 9 inches actually, so any units that are in hand-to-hand combat with Nurgle or within that distance, their toughness has been really dashed. So we're going to see how that ends. I really hope he can pull it off, and if he pulls off that battle, definitely mark for greatness for this one. We move over here. A lot of the units have wheeled around too. My Khazarkin Tigers have turned their back on the Land Raider, meaning that it can blast up their backs right during the next shoot phase for the Death Guard, but they don't care. They want to take out this Demon Prince to make sure that the Rogue Trader can get out. This section has done the same, as has the Command Squad and my Sentinel. Now is the time for this thing to do it. If it is the thing that takes out that Demon Prince, it'll be fantastic. My Hellhound is pointing its weapons at the Blight Hauler, as is the Chimera, and so is my Rogel Dorn. So we're getting super close. If we survive this whole turn, it is 10 inches away between the landing pad, where the Arvis Lighter is waiting to carry away those 2 Rogue Traders, or 1, whoever makes it. So what I could do actually next move, if this thing is still here and these guys are still here, is they could move into the Chimera. I would disembark the Adeptus Arbites within to hold off that last final wave, and then have the Chimera book it over to the landing pad with both Rogue Traders. But all I need to win the battle is 1, so I'm going to have to throw a toss up there. If Veronica is going to be killed or not, we'll have to see. So I'm very excited to get the shoot phase going. The battle is almost done. Still don't know how it's going to go, because if I roll really poorly in shooting in hand-to-hand, the toughness is lower, so the enemies could fight back and really do some damage. So we will see how it goes, but I think this is going to come right down to the final turn, and I'm going to start the shoot right now, and then we'll get into hand-to-hand, and I'll come back and show you exactly what happened. If there's any really cool rolls, I'll do them in my dice tray, probably for my Castellan again. I want to see how that one ends, but I'm going to go do that now, and I'll be right back. Alright, so now we're rolling for Castellan Cage. He decided to go right in against that entire unit of Poxwalkers to get his Khazarkin out of there. So we're going to see how he does here, and I think if he gets through this one, there's going to be no question as who gets my mark for greatness, but let's see how it goes. So his Power Fist, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. he did not. So he took a swing and missed. All of them were misses. That's not good. Now it's going back over to the Poxwalkers. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oof. So that's not going to be good. So we got 5, 10, 15, 22. Yeah. So they don't have great rolls. Like, it's a 5 to hit, but there's enough of them here that it might get in there. So we'll have to see how this goes. And also the Castellan's toughness is down because of the Gift of Nurgle. So here we go. Not a great roll by Nurgle this time around, which I definitely needed. So that's a 5. We're not touching that one. Okay. So we have 5 wounds that have to be seen if they actually wound. So this is a strength 3 versus what's usually a toughness 3, but he's down to toughness 2. So this is going to be wounding on 3s. And that's not good. So we have 4 wounds that have been allocated. There is no minus AP with this. So it's going to be the 5+ save. And I don't think he has survived. So a valiant effort. He rolled a 3, 2, 4, and 4. He needed 5s to survive that. So the Castellan has gone down, but he at least gave his guys some time to get out, or at least fight back. So I'm going to see how the rest of the battle shakes out and see if he gets my mark for greatness or not. So I'm going to go and show you guys the outcome of the entire turn, and I'll be right back on my other camera. Alright, so that is the end of Cadian turn 5. I'm going to cover in just a sec, but it's very possible this game is going to be over right away unless one thing can happen from the Death Guard. So the Cadian had a very, very good turn. They finished off a lot of the models that have been lingering on the board for quite some time. I think it's the Death Guard's speed that's going to get them in the end. They have fantastic toughness, great weapons, but they're just not fast enough on the board to chase after something like a Chimera that can move rather quickly. The Rogel Dorn defeated the Defiler, so that was an experience point for it. It was the twin battle cannon, or actually the Multi-Melta, I believe, that finished that one off. It did a great D6 roll for damage. The Ogren was lost though, and the Commissar is still facing down a lot of Plague Marines, but we're going to have to see if we actually get to that stage or not. The hand-to-hand combat concluded here with the Fetid Bloat Drone. So Leontus was not able to do any damage, nor was the Sentinel, and actually the Fetid Bloat Drone fought back and took a wound off of the Sentinel, so it's down to 5. The zombies that were in here were killed by the Preacher. He put his shotgun right up to its head and just blew the brains right out of it, so that was the end of them. And these 2 additions with the take aim were not needed, but it was good to have them there as backup just in case. My Rogel Dorn did away with the Myphitic Blight Hauler that was there, so that is gone. And sadly over here, he fought really well. Still questioning if I'm going to give him my mark for greatness. I'll have to look over all the points from this, but my Castellan went down after trying to go hand to hand with a bunch of Poxwalkers to let his Kazarkin unit get away. So I'm going to remove that take aim because they can no longer take an order, as they do not have a modeler that's able to do that. So here we go. This is why it's going to possibly be the end of the game. And I'm going to show you guys that as it goes. So the Plague Burst Cannon that's on the Plague Burst Crawler is the only thing that currently is in range of being able to hit the Chimera that has the Rogue Trader in it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll for that in the dice tray. We are going to see what happens, and then after that we're going to get that Chimera over to the landing pad. So what could happen next move is the Rogue Trader Veronica jumps in the Chimera with her husband. The Arbites all jump out to be able to create a wall so that Fetid Bloat Drone can't get in. It's currently face to face with the Sentinel, so it doesn't have line of sight against the Chimera. So I'm going to see if this the plague mortar actually damages or maybe even destroys. If that's the case, we're going to have to finish off the game with the remaining turns. But right now there's nothing else that's in range. So that's going to be the end of the game. So like you can even see here, if I was going to fire with my Predator Annihilator, which is right here, you can't see that Chimera because it's behind the structure, and also the Sentinel is there. So it's not like it can blast through that and hit it. It's not an indirect weapon, so it can't do that attack. So this is going to be it right here. I'm going to move over to the dice tray and roll for this, what's possibly the last turn or last move of the game. And then all of these guys here are mostly hand-to-hand, so the Plague Marines don't have weapons, neither do the Death Shroud or Typhus, not within range at least. And then the Plague Marines here are not within range either with their 24-inch bolt guns. So I'm going to roll right now on the dice tray, and we're going to see how this one ends. Or if there's going to be another turn needed. Alright, so back behind the dice tray, this could be the final shot of the game that is done by the Death Guard. So they could move up, but there's no real areas like the Fetid Bloat Drones I showed you guys would be in hand-to-hand with the Sentinel. It can't get around there because there's the Cadian on that side, so it's jammed up. It's the only other thing that would be in range. The Predator Annihilator does not have line of sight, so this Plague Burst Mortar is the only thing that can really do it. So it's going to be a d6 plus 3, so let's see how many shots it's going to have. With the luck I've been rolling, it's probably going to be a 6. It's a 1, so that's good. So it's going to be 1 plus 3, so the d6 roll of 1 plus 3, which is 4. This is going to be hitting on a 3 plus. So there has been 3 hits that have happened. There was a 1 there that did not work. And this is a toughness 8, strength 8 weapon versus a toughness 9. So I need 5s here. There's nothing within range either for the Nurgle's Gift to lessen the toughness on the Chimera either. The Fetid Bloat Drone again is just out of range. It would be affecting maybe the Cadian section, the Sentinel, and Leontus, but not the Chimera. So we're going to roll here. It's strength 8 versus 9, so I need 5s. 1 has fired. So let's see what happens here. I need to do a 4 plus save. The Chimera usually has a 3 plus, but it's a -1 AP. And it did not, so that's actually 2 damage, but that is not enough to take out the Chimera. It had 5 wounds remaining, so it has 3. And I'm going to move to my other camera and show you guys what happens there, just to break down, how this ends and why I'm not cheating or, giving preference to the Cadian. Alright, so it's actually not over. So the Plague Burst Mortar you guys saw fired, it actually did pretty well. It took 2 wounds off the Chimera. It was in range, that 48 inches. There is the Death Guard Land Raider that still exists, and it has a weapon that doesn't really have too high a toughness. It's 5, but if it rolls well, there's a possibility that it could take that Chimera out. So this was on the corner of my board. I didn't really see it because it was close to the Kazarkin. So I just did a look around to see what still was in range and what was in line of sight, and that unit definitely is. So this battle might not be over yet. I'm going to go back to my dice tray and I'm going to show you guys that roll. So this is going to be the battle. If the weapons don't fire or if it doesn't wound, that will be it. But it's definitely in range, and we're going to roll for that right now. Alright, so back behind the camera, this is now possibly the last shoot for the Death Guard. We're going to have to see. The way I've been rolling for the Death Guard, this might end up very well for them, so we're going to see what happens. So it's 3 shots at 3 plus. All have fired. 3 shots at 3 plus. 1 has missed. So right off the bat, there has been 5 out of 6 shots made. It is a strength 5 weapon versus toughness 9, so I'm going to need 5s to wound. Ooh. So 2 out of the 5 have wounded. It does do a -1 to AP, and the Chimera does not have an invulnerable save, so I need 4 pluses here. 1 save and 2 saves. So that is the game. I'm going to go back to my camera. I was holding my breath there just to make sure that it, I rolled, you guys saw it's legit, but I was worried that I was going to roll really well for the Death Guard and that they were going to win. So I am going to move over to my camera, show you guys the last couple movements there, and that's going to be the end of this game. It's another Cadian victory. All right. The Land Raider tried to fire at the Chimera. It actually was pretty close to being hit, so I'm glad that didn't happen because it had the capability with the amount of rolls that I had there to finish it off. So this thing finishes the game with 3 wounds. What's going to happen here is, like, if all of the Nurgle still moved, they wouldn't be within range, and as I said, there's nothing in line of sight. There's also, like, the Fetid Bloat drone is stuck between the Sentinel, Leontus, and the Cadian, so it would be in base-to-base contact for hand-to-hand, so it wouldn't be able to execute a shot. So what's going to happen here is these two are going to hop over to the Chimera. The Chimera has a 12-person capacity, and with the loss actually of the other Arbites, there's enough in there. So this thing is going to book it. The 10-inch movement brings it right to about here, which is just underneath. So they would be able to hop out, pop the little flap down. This is kind of there they are. So there's the 2 rogue traders that the Cadians have been helping this entire time. Leontus's cousin Veronica and her husband Bort Bort have made it over to the Arvis Lighter. They're going to be lifted off of this planet, and Nurgle has not been able to take 2 more into its numbers and be able to spread pestilence through the planets that these 2 own and visit. So that is the end of another battle. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Very different kind of fight, a little slower, but very good, like, back and forth. So this was a 500-point higher army for the Death Guard, but a lot of them, as you can see, like this area here especially, couldn't really move very quickly. So maybe I should have popped them in the back of the Land Raider, used it less for weaponry, more for transport. Some things I'd probably play differently with the Death Guard if I did it again. With the Cadian, I would definitely not be getting to hand-to-hand combat as often as I did, because this is a very, very good hand-to-hand combat force, whether they are Poxwalkers or Death Guard Plague Marines or whoever. There was some battle scars during this fight. I'm super happy that my Rogel Dorn still has those 2 wounds, because that would have sucked if that had gotten a battle scar. My Sentinels are both still alive this time, which is good. A couple sections made it through, got some kills that hadn't had kills previous, so that's awesome. So a pretty good building battle too. Lost a few vehicles also though. My Hellhound Imp, which has been an all-star in the past, was lost during this fight to the Defiler. I can show you guys the units lost over here. So there was no, like, combat ineffectiveness, but a lot of my Khazarkin were finished off, but the units are still alive. My command squad had 3 that were gone. Castle and Cage had that awesome last stand against the Blightlord Terminator and tried to hold off the Poxwalkers, but ultimately was killed. So I'm going to have to issue him a battle scar. These 2 sections here, one was very close to being destroyed, but they're good, so there's no battle scars for either of them. The Hellhound Imp is there. It did get a battle scar, and my Ogren squad will also have to get a battle scar. So I'm going to do the points and everything after this. You guys will see a quick rundown of the cards and what I do there. But it has been a good battle for the Cadian, another victory. And next one, I'm not sure if it's going to be against the Orcs or maybe against more Chaos Space Marines. I might do Chaos Space Marines, then Orcs, then 2 more Chaos Space Marines. So we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to flip the camera around. So here I am. Thank you guys for watching. Again, it is Movember. It's 30 November today. I have my stash going. If you know anybody that takes part in the cause, I've been doing Movember for 14 years. It's incredible for just raising awareness for men's health, getting checked out. Holidays just around the corner too. I'm not trying to preach to anybody here, but it's a very happy and good time for some people and a very rough time for some others, and also very stressful. So make sure, like, if you haven't seen family or friends for a while, to reach out, see how they're doing, maybe hang out during the holidays. And if people are stressed and they're, you know, saying, Jesus, like, I don't have any money for this, whatever, try to talk to them and see what's going on. And if you are feeling that way, definitely reach out to anybody. Just want to say that it's, you know, it's a great cause, Movember. It's more for men's health, but I'd say health in general. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This is one of my things too. Like, as I've said before, during COVID, I wasn't, you know, like, super depressed or anything, but there was really nothing to do. So I got back into Warhammer. Big time, and that's when I started my last Crusade narrative. I hadn't really done much in a while, So that was really nice, and it's just fun. It's a great hobby to do. It's almost like playing a video game again, like you're leveling up guys. So it's a blast, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll flip over to my cards now for my force, show you guys how everyone leveled up during this game, and if there's been any battle traits, you know, the battle scars that were issued, stuff like that. And then also I'm going to be probably bringing in 200 more supply points, so I'm going to keep these battle scars on. I was thinking about saving up some requisition points to remove them, but what I'm going to do is add some squads. So as I stated before too, I'm an ex-gunner with the Canadian Armed Forces. Didn't do much in the trade, but I was there, celebrated a few St. Barbara's Days. That's coming up, so you know, December 4th, as kind of a shout out to St. Barbara's Day and that, I'm probably going to bring in a field ordnance battery, so that's going to be 100 points. I think I'm going to bring in the bombast field guns, which they look the most like our Canadian Forces C3s, so that's going to be kind of cool to have on the field. They have been downgraded greatly since 9th edition, but I'm going to bring them in. And I also show you guys this over here. And got another box of Kazarkin, so that's going to be another 110. So with my additional points that I've saved up since last time, I have 10 points remaining, so that additions are going to be 210 to this force. So I'm going to be bringing in the bombast field guns and another Kazarkin unit, because my Kazarkin, as you guys have seen, have been absolutely holding it down, which is great. So I'll be back with the sheets in just a sec, show you guys how the points all balanced out, and that's it for another Crusade battle by Finnigan 40K. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. All right, so here we go. This is going to be the after action report here for my battle. So another victory by the Cadian 555th. That is their third in a row. It was a little more I don't know, on the side of Cadian this time, I think, just in regards to the speed of the Death Guard. I don't usually play Death Guard. I like the Army. In 30K I do, but in 40K I see them more kind of like the Orcs. They have to be loaded up in vehicles and maybe driven around. But anyways, it was a really good battle. For a while there it was tight, and then the Cadian were able to pull out. So from here we have, I'm going to go to my force card now. We have a battle tally of 3 battles and 3 victories. So we're currently 3 for 3. 3-0, which is great. Requisition points, you do get 1 at the end of the battle. I'm going to cross that out again, so this is going to stay 0, and my supply limit is going to go to 2,000 points. I think I know who I'm adding, as I mentioned there in the last video. So the ordnance battery and another squad of Kazarkin, but I'll think about it for a bit and also consider who I'm taking on next battle. So it's either going to be, I think, Chaos Undivided led by Abaddon, or it's going to be the Orcs with my annual Last Stand at Glazer's Creek homage, which is called the Last Stand at Omega, like oil drill site I usually call it, but we'll see how that goes, and I'll figure out who we're going to take on next. So I won't add anyone to the roster yet, but we're going to move through. So Castellan Cage was killed this battle. He's going to have to be given a battle scar. So he currently has crippling damage, as you guys can see from the card. So I'm going to just check and see what would be best, because I do think there's going to be like OC points needed in the future. So I want to make sure that I have those abilities. But he's also going to get my Marked for Greatness. I've decided I am going to give it to him. So we're going to be giving him a lot of experience points here in just a sec. But first, I'm going to do the Battle Scar for him. So he has crippling damage. There's Battle Weary, which is each time this unit takes a Battle Shock Leadership Desperate Escape out of action test. I don't use that, so that's not going to be really any good. Fatigued is where I kind of want to stay away from, so we'll see if I issue that one or not. Disgraced, you cannot use any stratagems to affect this unit, and this unit cannot be marked for greatness. Don't want that one because I'm just about to mark him for greatness. Mark of Shame, this unit cannot form an attached unit, is unaffected by the aura abilities of friendly units, and it cannot be marked for greatness. Don't want that either. And then Deep Scars, each time a critical hit is scored against this unit, that attack automatically wounds this unit. So what we're going to do is I am going to do Fatigued. That's going to be added on here, so I'll put that in. And just so we know what the description is there, it's subtract 1 from the objective control characteristics of models in this unit, and this unit never receives a charge bonus. So that's the one that I've kind of carried over for some of the other units. If he gets a third one in the future, not good. However, I am going to give him the Marked for Greatness. So I'm going to stay on the Castellan's card right now, and we're going to do the Marked for Greatness for him, which is 3 additional experience. So his 2 experience is going to turn into 5, and that experience leads him on to the next level. I just want to confirm, but he should now be the blooded. Oh, he's not. Yeah, but with the experience from the battle, so he does get 1 experience. It's going to be 6 actually. So that is the 6, and he has moved to the blooded rank. So everyone does get 1 experience, win or lose. And I'm going to go back to the old 9th edition codex here, and I'm going to give him an heirloom weapon, which I used last time. I want this guy to do a bit more shooting damage, and it helps with weapon skill, and I believe also armor penetration. So this is for a, it's a relic, I believe, and it's going to be for a bolt pistol. So I'm just going to make sure here. Yeah, so this is going to be the Emperor's Benediction. So it's a model equipped with bolt pistol only. This relic replaces a bolt pistol and has the following profile. So from now on, it's got a range of 18 inches. It has 3 attacks, strength 4, -1 AP, and 2 damage. So that's going to soup up his bolt pistol quite a bit. And I'm going to place that in the enhancement and upgrades to be tracked. So that is Emperor's Benediction. And then profile, I'm just going to leave myself a note so I know where I can find that for the next on page 70. So this next codex is coming out pretty soon. We've seen the Death Guard Krieg models. I'm very excited to see if they've carried over some of these, like the Emperor's Benediction, Kurov Zakia or Aquila, Death Mask of Volanius, things like that, if they still exist. So we'll see what happens there, because I really like some of the stuff. Some of the armor that you can get and things too is pretty cool. So that's great. He was marked for greatness, so battle honor is going to be that relic weapon. I'm going to put that in there too. So just to sum up this card, we have 6 experience, moved to the blooded rank. He has received Emperor's Benediction, which is a relic weapon for bolt pistols. He did get a battle scar, which is fatigued, so he's carrying 2 battle scars, but also has that relic weapon, so I'm hoping that's going to help out. Commissar Moon Ra, moving over to his card now, he got 3 experience total now, so he didn't take out any enemy units, but he did do that. There's no battle honors for him and no battle scars for this battle, and he's not close enough to be the blooded rank as of yet. One thing with this battle, like with the Gene Stealers, it was really easy to take out models, so you were able to add up a lot of experience and get some pretty good stuff, like the extra experience points for killing more than 1 model, which is the Dealers of Death. In this case, no one got the Dealers of Death at all. The Mark for Greatness has been done, so we're going to just move forward and see what kind of experience these people are building. And it's moving up slowly from this battle, but there's still some experience gained. So the command squad, now I'm on their card, they now have 3 experience points. They didn't have any enemy units killed, but they do have that 3 experience. So I've got to change 2. I just remembered that. So battles played 3 for Castellan Cage. Battles survived just the 1, actually, because he's been killed in the 2 other battles. So he's still just 1. Commissar Moon Ra is battles played 3. Battles survived 3. So he's survived a lot. He hasn't killed too many units, but he's going. The Cadian Command Squad, back to their card. So battles played 3. Battles survived 2. Enemy units destroyed 1 in total. The Regimental Preacher, who was leading that 2 section that didn't really do much in the grave, at least had 1 enemy kill this battle, so that's actually their first enemy unit kill. But they've done 3 battles played, 2 battles survived, and 1 enemy unit destroyed, so not enough for blooded there, but no battle scars, that's good. Kazarkin Sharkgar's Own, these guys were super close to getting my Mark for Greatness. They did pretty great, so they're up to 4 experience. For them, they're getting closer and closer to that blooded rank. Battles played 3, battles survived 2, and enemy units destroyed 4. So they didn't have any units destroyed this game. They were in there in the thick of things, so it was a little tougher to get units killed, but they definitely held their own and held up the Nurgle. My next unit, the Khazarkan Tigers. So they have 3 experience now. They have Khazarkan Tigers. Yes, they weren't there at the very start, or were they? So they've actually got 4. No, it's because Sharkar's own had the Dealers of Death last time, so they do have an extra experience point. So that's 3 experience for the Khazarkan Tigers. Battles played is 3. Battles survived is 3. And they had 1 enemy unit destroyed during this battle for a total of 3. Moving over to 1 section, Sergeant Sharonk, 3 experience. Battles played 3. Battles survived 1 now, and they actually had a couple of kills. They still carry crippling damage and fatigued, so they had come in pretty busted up that section, but they held it together this time, and halfway to blooded, but they were hard to move around with. They were attached to the command squad, I believe, and they were pretty slow. If not, it was with Leontus, and they weren't moving very quickly. I had to give them a lot of orders to get them going. 2 section Sergeant Dakota. So these guys have never been killed yet. It's crazy, but they have 3 experience points. They have played 3 battles. They have survived 3 battles, and they have now destroyed 3 enemy units. No battle honors yet, and no battle scars. These guys have done some pretty heavy lifting. Like in that first Tyranid fight, they were at the very back, like watching the 6 of the convoy. They got in and got pretty decimated against the Gene Stealers, but held it together. So good old 2 section. There we go. 3 section by Sergeant Apone. That's his unit. So 3 experience now. Battles played 3. Battles survived 2. Enemy units destroyed is still 2. And they've got the crippling damage. 4 section Sergeant Woof. 3 experience. 3 battles played, 2 battles survived, and 3 enemy units. They actually did pretty good this battle. They took out some of the lighter like zombie units, but it definitely helped clear a path for that Chimera to get across the graveyards. That helped a lot. I was thinking kind of distantly giving them the mark for greatness. We'll see how they do in the future, and I'll remember this one hopefully, and that they did pull their weight as a 10-person section fighting against things that were a lot stronger than them, so that's cool. Sentinel Alpha and Sentinel Bravo. These things have not been great throughout the campaign, especially Alpha that has the plasma cannon. They're at 3 experience. They've played 3 battles. This is the first battle that they've survived. 0 enemy units destroyed throughout the entire campaign so far. And they have a heavy plasma cannon. So it's just crazy. It just doesn't roll well. And in hand-to-hand, it's not great either. So Sentinels, meh. Sentinel Bravo with the missile launcher, 3 experience now as well. Battles played is 3. Battles survived is 2. And they only have 1 unit killed. So again, not great. Hopefully they step it up in the future and they get better rolls. Over to the Hellhound Cerberus, which has the heavy flamer. So it is at 3 experience. It has played 3 battles. It has survived 2 battles, and it's destroyed 1 enemy unit. It's done okay. The Hellhound Imp is the better of the tanks. It is up to 9 experience now, so it was blooded, and it has that Street Fighter's weapon skill, but it was destroyed during this battle by the Defiler. So battles played 3, battles survived 1, and enemy units destroyed 3. So it's gotten in there. I like to get it in and rocking and rolling, but it sucks that it was taken out this time. And it does have the crippling damage now, so I gave it the Battle Scar crippling damage, which is -1 to the move. So that's the first Battle Scar I've given a lot of these units. It's kind of the best one to give, and if these start to add up too, that's going to definitely impact my Hellhound, and I want to get this thing moving and in as quickly as I can because of that Street Fighter skill, and it's the only thing that's actually leveled up to, other than the Castellan now, that's been able to actually get a battle trait. So Ogryn Squad, Tunko Head, these guys have had a rough go too. This is their second fight. They were killed, but they're really the only hand-to-hand unit in here other than my hero models. So they now have 2 experience. They've played 2 battles. They have survived 0 battles, and they've actually destroyed 0 enemy units. They had crippling damage going into this one, and what I think I'm going to do for them is give them the battle scar that is each time a critical hit is scored against this unit, that attack automatically wounds this unit, and that is called Deep Scars. So I'm going to keep using these guys as my scrappers, hoping that there's going to be no critical hits that come in from enemies in the future. But I'm going to add that as a battle scar to them. So now they have crippling damage, so -1 to their move, and deep scars, which is going to have critical scores automatically wound. They do have a few more wounds than other units, so I'm hoping that that's not going to affect them too much, but we will see. Over to the Primaris Psyker, so that is 2 experience now. She's actually been really good since I brought her in. I didn't use that buff actually this game for the 4+ invulnerable, but they weren't really in that situation like they were against the Genestealer cultists. So she has 2 battles played, 2 battles survived, and 1 enemy unit destroyed so far in the campaign. Still far away from blooded, but I'm hoping that she'll be able to stick it in and stay in the campaign. So Rogaldorn Tank Fury. My Rogaldorns have been fantastic. This one was very close to being destroyed, though. It was down to 2 wounds at the end of this game, so it faced a lot of weaponry and firepower. It's up to 3 experience. Battles played 2, battles survived 2, and enemy units destroyed now is a total of 4. So it is going, and it's halfway to blooded. No one again got the multiple unit kills this game, but that's okay. Maybe next time they can. The Rogaldorn Battle Tank Double Impact did great. It was very close to being my mark for greatness because it took out that Defiler, as well as, you know, peeled some wounds off some of the stronger models. So it's at 3 experience, 2 battles played, 2 battles survived. It killed 2 enemy units here, so now it's a total of 6 enemy unit kills. I was very close to getting that 3rd unit kill and getting an extra experience point, but it just couldn't do it. So that's all good, and that's understandable because the Nurgle are not easy to kill. Lord Solar Leontus. So he came in. He did okay. I was expecting a little bit more from him just from 9th edition and what he was able to do against, as I've always mentioned, the Chosen, but he was fighting against like Wordbearer Marines and stuff too, and held his own. I don't know if I maybe had him souped up with some traits last time though, because I think he was in my campaign for a couple games before that one, so he might have had some buffs on him. But he did get 1 experience. He has played this battle, he survived the battle, and he did have an enemy unit killed. So he pulled his weight. He was able to kill 1. He was also dishing out orders to a couple of sections there that were really battered up, so that helped. And with that ability to give the 3 orders, I might surround him next fight, mattering what it is, with the 3 Khazarkan units, which would just make them incredible. So he could be dishing out like take aim, fix bayonets, move, or take cover or whatever, mattering on that situation and who's there. So that's going to be very cool to use. I think those 3 Khazarkan units are going to do very, very well, especially if they're being buffed out by Leontus, and that would probably be able to take out a lot of the enemies that I'll be facing for the rest of this campaign, just because of the amount of special weapons that they have. And those Meltaguns this game did fantastic, so I'm hoping that that'll continue. Don't want to jinx myself. The Chimera actually did really well, so I wasn't expecting to use it as a weapon platform because I wanted to transport the rogue traders in it as well as the Adeptus Arbites to move them around the board, or maybe if I needed to get like my Khazarkan stuck in early. That was fantastic. So going forward, I'll see how I use it. It didn't kill any enemy units, but the multi-laser and the heavy flamer on it, as well as the lasgun array, were able to peel some wounds off of some models. So that was fantastic, and then other units were able to destroy them. So I was pretty close actually to giving this one my mark for greatness too. It wasn't really its role to go in and be a gun platform, but it did great. So it's got 1 experience, 1 battle played, 1 battle survived, 0 enemy units, but I'm hoping that'll change against lighter armored models if I'm taking on the orcs. Orcs' toughness is pretty high. They're kind of like the Death Guard in that regard. But that's it. So thank you guys again for watching. A ton of fun. It was a great battle against Death Guard. I did use them last Crusade narrative, but it was kind of a different game. So that was really cool. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to clean up my table, and then next battle I'm going to think either Orcs or Chaos Undivided. I still have Tzeentch, so all of my I got Magnus the Red and a lot of those, Ryman as well. I have Khorne too, which I'm going to do a battle with, so Berserker models and World Eaters with Angron in there. I think I might bring in some Dark Angels with that one, so that's going to be really cool. And the one against the Tzeentch, I think I'm going to bring in a few Battle Sisters models as well as the allied models for that one. Chaos Undivided is going to be all chaos, and I don't know if I'll have allied models that come in or not for that one. It might just be my entire Cadian force, and that's just going to be a full-out battle of who kills the other one first, pretty much. So anyway, stay tuned. Got lots to think about. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to make sure that all my cards are up to date and that I start planning the next battle and get that out to you guys in the next few weeks. If I don't see you before holidays, have amazing holidays. Things are getting busy, probably for everybody, but maybe I'll try to squeeze in one more Crusade narrative game before the Christmas break. So thanks again, guys. Bye-bye. Finnigan 40K. Please subscribe, like, tell your friends, and I really hope you enjoy the videos. Bye-bye.